You're
Go
live.
We are live.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Who do we have here? I have not even looked at the chat room. I don't know any of these people.
Glenn Towler, Uber Frank, Sal Gambone.
Hey, Dick's there.
I met Sal in Philadelphia. Hi, Sal.
Yeah, Sal. From Italy.
Yeah, he's over there visiting. He was going to flying to Venice on that 747-400 that I was very jealous about that he was about to go on that evening. Hi, Sal. Good to hear from you.
So Hamish, Dick, is that a bunch of reprobates? Is that the people in the chat room or the people that you see on the screen? Or both? Maybe both.
And Hamish, thank you very much for that very nice gift that you sent. A very nice letter. That was very, very kind of you.
I have not opened it yet. Sorry. He said he gave me that last night. I just don't know where I put it. I can. Oh, you know.
Tanya's in there. Say hello, Tanya. Hello, Tanya.
Hello, Tanya.
Good to see you here.
See you next week.
And look, Liz Piper's in the room too. That's fantastic.
Look what I have.
Oh! Am I making a stop by your house sometime this week or?
Nope. It's all going to be gone by then.
Darn it!
And so here, I'll open that on the. Should I open this on the show?
Yeah. Why don't you?
Have a live unboxing.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. So everybody, this is a T-shirt that my daughter Natalie got for me. What do you think of that, huh? That's a T-shirt I'm wearing.
That's so cool.
I dare you to show up at work with your wings actually pinned on it with your name tag. That would be hysterical. I think you need to save that for your retirement flight.
Yeah, I'll wear this on my retirement flight.
That would be amazing.
No. Okay.
It must be what, 407 this week?
We are
407.
Oh, I'm gonna hit the record button. Good point. Just so I don't forget.
I'm not going to do it too early because last time it was so big that I couldn't get it into Evernote.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, how's that playing? Interesting.
Jeff, I've got to ask you, did you see that from Servento, Derek?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that. I did. Unfortunately, I'm going to be flying that week. I'll be in Cleveland, I think, or something.
Well, that's the night before I leave to go. So did you want me to consider going and representing us?
Sure. That'll be fantastic.
Okay. I'll touch base with them.
You'll be the official APG representative.
I will be the official.
And the only.
And the only.
And the only. And behave yourself as best you can.
And just like 300, I'm going to be the only one missing. Damn it. It really wasn't from a lack of effort, let me tell you, because I kept on looking in open time, trying to find something, and nothing was popping.
Yeah.
So
I understand. I think everybody understands. And we'll do our best to represent you, Dana.
All right, good bottle of scotch will be fine. Bring it back.
I didn't say anything about buying anything for you. How did you go from there to there?
Well, because if you're going to represent me, then you'd represent me coming home with a good bottle of scotch unopened.
Go look up represent.
Well, if you're going to represent me, you'd represent me walking through the airport to the duty free.
Okay. We'll discuss this later.
I'm only drinking. And the funny part is I'm only drinking water.
And that's all Nick has been drinking, right?
Well, I'm on coffee, actually. I got my new coffee machine, which is like the one you saw said it makes big coffees to make me a vast coffee for tonight.
Oh, nice. Really?
Might keep me awake.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to check out that new coffee machine.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what she said.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
Wow. No, it's wow.
Well, it's you.
I prefer your other version.
What other version?
What
The
other
one that goes,
version?
wow.
That's the only version I have is this one.
Wow. Wow.
That's not funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was doing something, I think, last week, and I
Yes.
can't remember what it was, but even my wife commented on how many times I said "wow."
Like, okay, that's enough.
No, we weren't talking about that. It's a family show, folks. No,
Okay.
it's I was watching or doing something that was pretty amazing. I kept on saying it. She said, "Do you realize how many times you say wow?" I'm like, "No, I guess I don't."
You obviously have a wonderful economy with words.
Very good.
That is from the movie Arthur, his butler, Sir John Gielgud. Is that his name?
That's the actor, yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
That he played the butler, and it's the scene where. Have you seen that movie, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah, where Arthur was in bed with a prostitute, I think, and he was asking her a question about something, and I don't remember her answer, but he said in response,
You obviously have a wonderful economy with words.
I like that.
Yeah, she wouldn't make a good podcaster then.
"No." Okay, well, let me check the volume again on this. APG syndrome. Sounds kind of low volume to me.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
How about you guys? Is it okay? The
That
volume?
sounds
good
good
to
to
me.
me.
Okay. Very good then. So we got that. And we have the intro from Roger. Let's just make sure we hear something from that.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG.
That sound okay?
That
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
All right.
I'm in actually the wrong podcast, so I wasn't expecting that today.
What's that?
No, forget it.
Okay. What podcast do you think you're on right now? How many podcasts do you do?
17, Bruce
Ah.
County.
Oh, let's do our clapping.
Oh, yes. Let me get the recorder. I have it all set up. Just have to get it going.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, I mean, you guys are going to do your clap board. I'm going to have to do a clap hand.
I've got the clap. Don't worry.
Oh boy. Okay. Sorry to hear it. APG 407 in 3, 2, 1. Excellent. That actually sounded pretty good to me. So it must have sounded horrible to everybody else.
It did.
Yeah.
I must admit your video is very good. So your bandwidth is
Good. Yeah, I opted for
holding
the extra. You pay extra to get the better bandwidth. So
up. Woohoo.
of course it's 4:00 right now. So whatever the conference is, a bunch of ladies downstairs. They're going to be probably going back up to their rooms soon, and everybody's going to be hitting Netflix. So we'll see how this works out.
Let
Fingers
me
crossed.
see. Let me see the background and see if I can figure this out. Teal blue walls.
Oh, you don't know where I am?
No, I'm trying. I recognize that headboard. I think that might be the.
Stain on the headboard.
Are you in Charleston?
I am.
Wow.
Very good.
I've spent way too much time in these hotels.
You're very observant.
I am. Well, I just look at the background and I recognize the older furniture room
Mm-hmm.
and the color of the
Yes.
walls.
At the Mills House.
Yes.
This is the hotel that we stayed in, Dana, when I was first hired back in 88, 90. And we stayed here for a few years, and then we moved to the Francis Marion, and then I think we moved back here, and then we moved back to the Francis Marion, and then we ended up finally at that Holiday Inn up there, and we were there for quite some time. But now, full circle, back at the Mills House.
Yeah, I have to say I like the location. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's nice. Just down the road from Hyman's. And
Don't even tell me go there to eat, please.
okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Ugh.
You don't like it?
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, well, I must have poor taste.
No, you have great taste. It's just it's a tourist trap. There's a much better,
It is.
much better seafood restaurant locally.
They make great fried oyster po' boys.
Po'
my
boys. Oh well. That explains it. Anything fried, you can go to Hyman's and get. I'm not a big fried fan.
All right. Very good. Okay. I think since we haven't really heard, have we heard anything at all from Steph?
I think she said she'd be late today.
Yeah, but I thought she said everything was going pretty well around lunchtime, and that she wasn't sure about her afternoon appointments. But I don't recall seeing anything else from her. Yeah, that was quite a while ago that we heard from her. Okay. Well, we'll just start, and then hopefully she'll be able to join us for the intermission.
Sorry, Liz, I sent that to the wrong address.
Okay, let me get on this page.
And by the way, the name of the seafood restaurant in Charleston's really good, Jeff. If you ever want to have really good seafood, Hank's, right around the corner from Hyman's.
Called Hank's?
Hank's Seafood.
Is it on, so it's not on Meeting Street?
It's right off. It's almost like if you were standing in front of Hyman's, the street right across. It's called Haynes Street. It's okay. It backs up to the market. Okay. So it parallels the market. But if you ever want to get a little fancier and better food, I would recommend that.
I just wanted something quick for lunch. So
okay.
I just ate at the bar. And actually, there wasn't a line to get into the place or anything. Cool. So when I went, it wasn't really a tourist trap. But I know what it's like right now. There's, I'm sure, a big, long line out there.
There is.
All right. Well, I think that we should probably start the show. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but let's go for it. Oh, Steph says she's almost home. Great. Do you want us to wait for you, Steph?
Why don't we?
I'll message her. I don't know if she's listening.
Okay. See, Mark Van Ram's 2 oldest kids were born in Charleston. Oh, wait, I got this in from Nick. He says, do you want us to wait?
Because he sent it to the whole crew.
I know. That's why I thought it'd be funny if I said that. I was wrong.
Oh, I was laughing hysterically.
Deep inside.
She said, I'll be about 10 minutes, but no need to wait.
Oh, I just got this from Steph. She said, I'll be about... Okay. So you think we should just go?
Yeah, because it's just the news, and
all right.
You should only miss 1 or 2.
Here we go, then.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show.
The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG, it's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 407.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 4B in Charleston, South Carolina. Today's show is recorded on the 7th of January, 2020.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Get you right and it's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, we now learn that fuel exhaustion led to the fatal emergency landing of a Ukrainian freighter, and a malfunctioning phone battery burns a passenger on an Air Asia flight. More news, your feedback, and in today's Plane Tales, sounds like a drag. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger. Flight 407 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger, a real radio professional based in New York City. Hey, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast where we cover news in aviation and also your great feedback. And joining me today from across the pond in a studio in the English countryside, a professional photographer, former RAF fighter pilot, former captain for an international airline based in London. It's Captain Nick.
Well, hi there, Jeff. Great to be back on the show again. We're getting back into the swing of it in 2020. Well, yeah, that's about all there is to say, really. Looking forward to a good show.
We'll keep talking because your theme music is still running. Oh, never mind. It's over now. And also, from the Northwest Atlanta suburbs, barbecue master, motorcycle rider, pleasure boat skipper, underwater photographer, and captain for a major U.S. legacy carrier, it's Captain Dana.
Well, hello there, guys. How you doing tonight? It's going to be another fantastic evening or day or wherever you're listening of the APG show.
Absolutely. And we will be joined soon by Dr. Steph. She's not quite here yet, but that's okay. She'll be with us soon. And let's fade your music out, Dana, and get on with the news.
Stand by for news.
All right, we'll start with an update on an accident that occurred in Ukraine, Lviv, on October 4th, 2019. I think we kind of suspected that this was the case, but we didn't really have a lot of information on it at the time. Let us remind you about the accident. A UAA, Ukraine Air Alliance, Antonov AN-12 freighter, registration Uniform Romeo Charlie Alpha Hotel, performing flight 4050 from Vigo, Spain to Lviv, Ukraine, with 7 crew and 1 passenger and a cargo of 13 tons, consisting of car parts, was on approach to Lviv about 7.4 nautical miles before the airport when the aircraft disappeared from radar. The aircraft was subsequently found on the ground about 0.8 nautical miles before runway 31 in soil and vegetation near a soccer stadium and a cemetery where the crew had attempted an emergency landing due to running out of fuel. 5 occupants were killed. 3 occupants were taken to hospitals with injuries. And let's see. We'll pause for a moment. You having trouble with my signal? Am I breaking up?
Not one bit.
Oh, okay.
No, it's something that's, you're both breaking up to me, but I've just done a bandwidth check and I'm 200 down and 20 up. So
that shouldn't be a problem.
It must be something in between.
Huh. Weird. Okay. Maybe it's just StreamYard or YouTube or something. I don't know.
I don't know. You're smooth as glass to me, Jeff.
Okay. Good. Ooh, thank you. Yeah.
That's what she said.
All right. Before we go on, I didn't really have a chance to look at this. Is there anything that really has changed in this whole thing that we talked about before? We kind of surmised that the airplane had run out of fuel. I'm just sorry, I didn't do a lot of prep work here for today's show, so I'm trying to get down to the nitty-gritty.
These photos that I'm seeing are new.
Yeah,
and very telling, especially the picture of the runway in the background with the aircraft just shy of the approach lighting system.
Yeah, a lot closer than I thought they were.
They're really, really close. So I don't know how many meters that would be, but if I was to guess, maybe quarter mile.
Yeah,
from the runway. So not
no,
very far.
I don't know if we knew what the weather was, Jeff. It was pretty poor visibility.
I think we did know that it was kind of crappy weather.
Yeah, 250 meters with fog. Vertical visibility of only 60 meters, so that's about 100 and under 200 feet.
Okay. Okay, I'll just pick up from here then. Looks like the investigatory agency released their preliminary report on the 20th of December in 2019. And the FDR and CVR were found in satisfactory condition and have been read out. The crew did not provide any critical remarks up to intercepting the localizer for runway 31. And the ATIS broadcast was information Romeo. ILS approach, low visibility procedures are applied at the aerodrome. Runway in use, runway 31. Runway surface condition reported for 1953, wet, clean. The measured friction coefficient, 0.55. The estimated braking efficiency on the runway surface, good. Transition flight level, 110. Warning, large flocks of birds. I guess everywhere in the world they say this. Large flocks of birds are in the aerodrome area on the final. There is no wind. Visibility is 150 meters. That's not very good, is it? 150 meters, that's what? It's not even half a mile, is it? 500 feet?
No, I mean, we weren't allowed to do Cat 1 approaches less than 550 meters. So that's really in low visibility procedures.
Okay. So, yeah, the low visibility, bad weather, and the NBAAI described the sequence of events during the final approach. At 3:40:01, the crew reported runway 31 localizer beam capture. At 3:40:27, the controller informed the crew of changes in the runway 31 visibility range at the touchdown point, 800 meters. It's not too bad, I guess, in the middle of the runway, 800 meters at the end of the runway, 750 meters, and vertical visibility, 60 meters. At 3:41:47, the crew contacted the tower controller and, after a few seconds, reported that it continued ILS approach to runway 31 and set QNH of 1013 hectopascals. At 3:41:58, the controller informed the crew of wind nil on runway 31 and cleared landing. The crew confirmed the landing clearance. According to ground-based recorder data, at this time the aircraft speed was 316 kilometers per hour. I don't know what that is. The flight course was 310. According to the flight recorder's data, at the time of the flight on final, starting from the distance of 6 nautical miles to the runway threshold, 6 kilometers to the runway threshold, the aircraft descended significantly below the glide path. In particular, at a distance of 1.8 nautical miles from the touchdown point, the aircraft descended to the altitude of 100 meters and continued the flight almost 1/2 as high as the glide path. At the altitude of 60 meters, an alarm sounded that the decision height had been reached, to which no crew member responded. At the distance of 1,359 meters to the runway threshold, at the altitude of 5 to 7 meters, that's awfully close to the ground. I know that even though we don't have the metric system. The aircraft collided with trees and impacted the ground. The aircraft wreckage layout is presented in Figure 1. 3:43:37, the aircraft onboard transponder responded for the last time to the aerodrome surveillance radar. I don't even think they said anything on the cockpit voice recorder about the fact that they were running out of fuel. It doesn't seem to me that it was a surprise to anybody in the cockpit that the airplane wasn't able to maintain the ILS glide slope. It just seems kind of odd. It doesn't sound like there was a lot of conversation going on there in the cockpit.
Well, and what I'm noticing here, Jeff, is I was taking a look at the flight crew experience. Very experienced flight crew on this aircraft, and very experienced total time. Mm-hmm. Captain was much younger than the first officer, which would indicate that he had a total of 6,750 total hours in 6,570 hours on type. So he's been on that airplane quite a long time. And then the first officer had 14,670 hours in 9620 on type. So, and then the navigator, very experienced as well. So this is an experienced crew. But what you're talking about here is you take a look at the photographs, and you can see clearly that that with no post fire, although the aircraft is pretty much intact, than the props coming off pretty much. The wings are still attached. The nose of the aircraft is pretty well crushed. But down here at the end of what you're reading, they have the Ukrainian English version in their preliminary report. So I don't know if you want me to read that out for you, but it does. It was talking a little bit about the propellers, whether they were turning or whether they were feathered, and when they contacted the trees, the obstacles, and doesn't mention anything about fuel any fuel was recovered from the wreckage. So
Yeah.
and whether any fuel odor could be noticed. So even if there was fuel in the aircraft, the wings were intact. So I don't see that it would lead to a conclusive without them testing the wing tanks themselves. There's no post crash fire. So
yeah, well, and looking at those photos, as you mentioned, Dana, the pictures of the propellers are just classic post investigation stuff that you learn in accident investigation school. These engines were not producing power.
No, they were not.
Because you can look at the props and see that what kind of damage is on them, and they don't show the telltale signs of power being produced.
Yeah, and if you look at the whole aircraft in total, you can see that it wasn't. It's actually consistent with the prop damage.
Yeah,
as to those engines were probably not.
I do remember us talking about this before when it first occurred, and the fact that the fuel planning must have been horrendous because apparently they didn't have any reserve at all for this. I guess they were stopping here at this airport too as a fuel stop, but it just looks like they were kind of irresponsible when it comes to making sure that they had the appropriate fuel reserves on the airplane.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking about fuel planning before, and it's just very important that we make sure it doesn't matter whether you're flying a Cessna 152 or an Antonov or a 747. You have to make sure that you verify the fuel you have on board is sufficient to get to your destination, fly to your alternate airport, and any contingencies beyond that as well.
So everybody here at the APG, our advice to you, if you fly airplanes, make sure you have enough fuel to make it to your destination. You want to add anything to that, Nick? Nick is frozen.
Yes, he is. He's
all right. He's so just shocked by this whole thing. He just doesn't know what to say. All right.
I'm back. Sorry, I was losing bandwidth. I just did a quick reset. Oh, look, here's Steph.
Yeah. Hey,
Hello.
Steph.
Hi, Steph.
Wait. Let's go ahead and do this. From her beautiful home on the lake. Quickly trying to find my cheat sheet here. Okay, there we go. In the Carolinas, doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated pilot, Dr. Steph.
Hey, Captain Jeff. It's like you know me so well.
I do. Like the back of my hand. Where did that go?
Yeah, exactly. Glad to be here. Sorry for my tardiness. And after I spent the morning complaining about people being late for things, my turn. Sorry.
That's okay.
Here I am.
Hey, you were here actually before I thought you would be. So that's great.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So. And we've only started on the first
Sorry,
item.
I didn't mean to just like barge in. It seemed like maybe you were taking a little pause there. I could sneak in.
Yeah, no. Why did I say that? Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yes, no, yes. So do you have anything to add about this incident of the Ukrainian?
I know nothing about it.
We talked about it pretty much last time. And basically the preliminary report is just basically confirming what we kind of were surmising as far as the fact that it ran out of fuel and it just about made it, but not quite.
Gotcha. Yep.
Just about.
That sounds like a good summary to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's move on to item B. Accident. Air Asia A20N. What's an A20? Oh, it's an Airbus A320-200 near Ho Chi Minh City on the 25th of December, Christmas. A phone battery burns a passenger. And this is from the Aviation Herald, Simon Radke's wonderful site. This A320-200, registration 9 Mike Alpha Golf Lima, performing flight 130 from Kuala Lumpur to Hong Kong, was en route at flight level 350 and 200 nautical miles south of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, when a backup battery. I think that's important. It seems to me that most of these incidents involve backup batteries, not the actual battery inside the phone. Anyway, backup battery for a mobile phone suffered a rapid thermal runaway, causing fire that burned the owner of the phone at his left arm, left leg, left buttocks, and the back of left thigh overall.
Did you
about,
say his left egg?
I did. I was hoping
You
you
did.
We all noticed it. I was going to let it go, but Nick apparently
I was
couldn't-
surprised you
couldn't
managed to do that,
quite
Steph.
get past
You'd
that.
want the proper medical term for
Listen,
a left egg.
you know, of all the things I've seen and heard today, that was so low on the list of surprising things. But I do have my backup batteries here for.
There you go. Just don't take them on an airplane.
Yeah.
I take these out all the
Certainly
time.
not.
on
Don't
airplanes.
keep them near your eggs.
Right. Yes. I don't want any burnt eggs.
I had made it so far past my little, blooper that I thought
You thought you made it.
away with it.
Now you don't even
Oh,
remember
you
where
made
you
it.
were.
You didn't.
Nope.
I can't even edit this out anymore. Oh well.
Sorry. Leave it.
Yeah, leave it in. There we go. So anyway,
Lego my ego.
this gentleman, so left arm, left leg, left egg, left buttocks, and the back of left thigh burned about 20% of his skin surface. That's a lot.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Cabin crew extinguished the fire, cooled the battery down, secured it in a safe container, and provided first aid to the passenger while the flight crew diverted the aircraft to Ho Chi Minh City, where the aircraft landed safely about 35 minutes later. The passenger was taken to a hospital, and following treatment could be discharged the following day. Oh, so I guess they weren't too bad, huh? If it was a really bad burn, then
They didn't say what degree of burn,
That's
just quite a big surface area. So
that is true. And at least he had it in the cabin so that they could, take care of the offending battery, and did the right thing, got the thing on the ground very quickly, and happy ending. But I think that's a problem with especially batteries, these backup batteries that are made by manufacturers that I'm sure that Steph has backup batteries that are manufactured by
this one's a Mophie.
a Mophie. That's a good
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good make.
This one is Elevation Lab.
Okay, yeah, they're good too.
Are they? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I like this one though because it has a place for you to put the Apple Watch on, and then it's got this little strappy thing so you can strap it onto the.
Ooh,
You say strap on?
Your left egg.
Yes, to your left egg.
That's where he had that little
Yeah.
white area attached to his left egg.
Nasty.
So,
I guess the phone manufacturers have to be very careful about this sort of a problem. After the Samsung Galaxy, was it, had problems? It was so bad that they actually banned having them on aircraft.
Yeah.
That could, be a dreadful blow for a phone manufacturer. Could lose a lot of money and a lot of reputation. If you're just a generic battery maker, you just rename your company and carry on regardless, don't you?
Yeah.
I ordered some tiny little lithium-ion batteries or lithium batteries of some sort for a scale in my bathroom, and ordered them from Amazon, and it came in a package that said, "This may not be shipped on an aircraft." Lithium batteries inside,
okay, yeah.
like on the outside of the packaging.
Well, that's
And-
responsible. Yes.
Mhm.
Do we know that it wasn't?
No
transported?
idea. No idea. It did arrive like same day or next day. So
Little man on a bicycle delivered it.
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it happened.
yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. All right.
I
Enough of
was going to
that.
say something really bad. I stopped.
Okay. Thank
Good
you for
man.
your discipline,
We
sir.
probably had enough really bad on this story.
Okay.
We are glad that the gentleman is okay and was able
Yes,
to be
we are.
released from hospital.
Yes, we are. Hope he learned his lesson about backup batteries. United Boeing 738, 737-800 at Denver on the 22nd of December. Was performing flight 2429 from Newark to Denver. Landed on Denver's runway 17 right when sparks became visible from the left main gear. The crew requested emergency services to attend to the aircraft, advising they believed they had blown a tire or maybe a gear. The aircraft became disabled on the runway, resting on the left-hand engine cowling, nose gear, and right-hand main gear. The left main
I'm
gear.
sorry, can I stop you, Jeff? I just want to know how you blow a gear.
I don't know.
Like blowing a fuse.
It's
or a
called a
gasket
blown
or-
landing.
I'm not sure how you blow a gear, actually.
Okay, right.
That's
best left.
We
alone.
let's get that person on the phone right now. If you can figure out who that was flying the airplane at the time, we'd like to ask him. He probably didn't say, or she didn't say, blown gear. I don't know. Maybe they did. Can you guys hear the vacuuming?
Yes. I was wondering, it sounded like a train whistle or something.
Well, I started hearing that. I thought I turned off the air conditioning unit. I'm sure I did. and then it just keeps getting louder and louder in the background, and they're
any moment you're going to get housekeeping.
bam, or just hitting the door, bam, bam, bam. Anyway, okay. Passengers reported as soon as the aircraft touched down, sparks became visible on the left main gear. They later disembarked via the right-hand front door and stairs. The airline reported the aircraft experienced a mechanical issue. Yeah, duh. On landing, all passengers were bussed to the terminal. The FAA reported the gear collapsed. The gear collapsed on landing. There were no injuries. The aircraft sustained unknown damage. They towed the aircraft off the runway the following day, with the left-hand wing being supported by a flatbed semi-truck. That's interesting. Anyway, so the weather at the time was not bad for Denver, especially that time of year. Winds out of the south at about 8 knots, good visibility, 22,000 broken. So, it wasn't bad weather at all, nor high winds or anything else. So sometimes that happens, you get some kind of a fatigue crack or a stress crack or something, and it just collapses.
Amongst the comments that follow the text, someone has said, engineer was correct. It was a trunnion pin failure, confirmed with my own eyes. So perhaps someone who works there took a look.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you have it. Make sure you check those trunnion pins very well.
Yeah, especially in the walk around. FOs, take note of that, please.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Moving on. Item D. This is a tweet from Turkish Air News. And Turkish Airlines Airbus A330-343, registration Tango Charlie Lima Oscar Lima, was performing flight 627 from Istanbul to Port Harcourt. And that's in North Africa, is it not?
Yeah, that's Nigeria. We used to have a service there. It was a captain's only landing, I point out.
Yeah, I kind of remember you said that it was kind of a difficult place to land.
It doesn't have the best of facilities there.
Okay. When the pilot in command landed the aircraft next to the runway due to confusion of the runway lights.
The runway lights were confused?
I think so.
Yeah. They're having a bad hair day.
So where should I be tonight?
Is wonderful.
So I guess, and the thing that's really bad about this one is that, well, I mean, it's bad all around, but Tango Charlie Lima Alpha Lima LOL was just introduced into service 3 days ago when this tweet was put out. A brand new airplane.
Well, you got to break it in somehow. Try not to break it.
Well, we had a restriction. Not only was it captain's only landing, it was daytime only landings. So this guy landed at night, presumably. So
did they have like non-standard lighting or something? Or
no, not so much as
candles?
having an unreliable power supply with no decent backup. So it was quite likely on occasions that the entire airport used to get blacked out.
Oh, nice.
That's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, this was some
Always
years
makes
ago. Whether it's still that case now, I don't know. But that was the restrictions placed on us.
Well, there are some pictures in this tweet of the shredded main landing gear tires on one side. I thought I read somewhere else that the pilots or the captain mistook the set or the side lighting. What do they call that again? The edge lighting. For the center line lighting. Maybe they don't have center line lighting. I don't know. Anyway, so half the airplane was on the runway and half of it was off, I think. Not good.
Yeah, we had a guy drift off the side of the runway when he lost sight of the lights or the runway during a landing right at dawn. And he went through into a layer of fog, which he had been able to perceive before. And basically the runway disappeared in the flare. And he went around, but because he couldn't see the ground anymore, he wasn't able to maintain perfect directional control. And his main gear ran off the left side of the runway. So, it wasn't the easiest place to operate from. The weather conditions were obviously quite deceiving at times.
It sounds like one of those places I don't want to fly into ever.
I'm sure there are some nasty places in the States, but this was somewhere where you had to be really on your mettle.
Not that bad, Nick. That's why I choose domestic flying. Thank you.
I mean, we're mostly civilized here.
Well, we took
mostly.
340s into there all the time. So
Now, I have to say, there was an instance at Acme Airlines a few years back going into, I believe it was Dayton on the northernmost runway. And I guess at the time, or again, I think I've said this before, I get Dayton and Columbus airports.
Somewhere in
city.
Ohio.
Confused because they're very kind of, in my mind, they're kind of similar layouts. But the left coming in, landing to the east, the left runway at one of those airports did not have centerline lighting, and I guess it was one of those days where the weather wasn't optimum, and when they broke out, the crew thought that the lights they were looking at were the centerline lights. But there are no at that time. I don't know if there are now. At that time, there were no centerline lights on that runway, and so half the I think it was the right main landing gear was off of the runway, and the left main was on the runway. And I guess it was the terrain was so smooth and even that they really didn't notice until we're taxiing into the gate, and the mechanics or the ground personnel were looking at it going like, why is there like mud like dropping?
Did you go off-roading in this thing just a minute ago?
They went out there and looked and went, oopsie. So it happens. That's why it's important when you're reviewing, especially in low visibility or kind of crappy weather, review those lighting systems to kind of really understand what you're going to be looking for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Thanks. Item E, Air Canada 777 was being towed at Toronto Pearson, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And sure.
Yeah, there it is in Toronto. Let's see. Here's the tweet from Breaking Aviation News. 27 December shows an Air Canada 777-300 clipping the tail of a parked Air Canada A321 in Toronto. Both aircraft were not carrying passengers at the time of the incident. And there is a video associated with this, and it's interesting to see. You just kind of start cringing. Like,
a second. It just spins that 320 around through about 60 degrees, doesn't it?
That was an A321, so it's not like a super small airplane.
No, but it behaved like it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So not good, but the good thing is it didn't involve any pilots. It was just not that well. It's good for us pilots.
All the pilots involved still have their jobs.
Yes.
No pilots' egos were bruised.
That's right. That's true.
Incident.
Yeah.
So check it out. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be definitely a worthwhile video to watch if you haven't already seen it.
Did you read the update about it? About
no. Why don't
at
you?
the bottom. So the 777 that struck the tail of the A321 is going to Singapore via Tokyo for a pre-planned C check. So good timing. Did you read that?
Yeah, very good timing. Yeah.
I guess they could repair it enough that they can fly it all the way over there to have that done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the C check is quite an extensive check, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes some weeks. So they basically take it apart and put it back together again.
Yeah. All right. Item F. This is from Reuters.com. The number of people killed in large commercial airline or airplane crashes fell by more than 50% in 2019, despite a high-profile Boeing 737 MAX crash in Ethiopia in March, a Dutch consulting firm said on Wednesday. Aviation consulting firm TO70 said there were 86 accidents involving large commercial planes, including 8 fatal incidents, resulting in 257 fatalities last year. In 2018, there were 160 accidents, including 13 fatal ones, resulting in 534 deaths. TO70 said the fatal accident rate for large airplanes and commercial passenger air transport was just 0.18 fatal accident per million flights in 2019, or an average one fatal accident every 5.58 million flights. A significant improvement over 2018. Hey, so those of you out there who have some fear of flying, so you can go out and fly on 5.58 million flights before you might get killed. Not bad odds.
No, it's not bad odds at all. I don't think I could afford that many flights.
Yeah, I don't know if any of us have enough time to take that many flights.
Not even me.
Not even Steph. That's saying something.
All right, but she's getting close.
I'm working on it. I should probably slow down a little bit then.
Yeah, you don't want to get too close to that 5.58 million number.
No.
Let's see.
Still. Okay.
Anything else worth talking about in this article?
So
No,
I'm
good news.
pleased. It's such a good, been such a year. Good. Shall I say that in English? Been such a good year, and I'm surprised no one's taken full responsibility for such a successful aviation accident record.
Now, what was it? The year before 2017, when there were 0 fatal.
Well, that's right.
There was a year. Yep.
Yeah, it was relatively recent.
Was it 0 in the States or 0 worldwide?
I think it was commercial
Worldwide
flights.
Worldwide commercial flights. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like Part 121 type flights.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Oh, the Chinese like to do their lucky charm thing with like taking a whole handful of coins and throwing them into the intake of an engine. This is from Apple News. Probably the actual source is probably somebody else. A Chinese man who is flying for the first time has been fined for throwing good luck coins into a plane's engine. The 28-year-old, you'd think a younger person would kind of understand. I mean, I can understand the old people that maybe had never been around modern things like jet airplanes, but 28 years old.
How long have jet airplanes been around for now, though? They'd have to be pretty old.
Yeah, really old, right? Yeah. It was in the 50s, I guess, when we first started seeing the jet airliner age.
Airliners. Yeah,
you're right.
Late 40s, early 50s.
So even people who are 100 years old have had jets in their lives since they were
age
30.
has nothing to do with
70 years.
Okay. Well, the 28-year-old was ordered to pay $17,200. That's 13,100 pounds in compensation to the budget airline called Lucky Air.
Yeah, you'd think with a name like that, they wouldn't need any extra luck. But
come on,
we're trying to inspire confidence with the name of our airline.
Yeah, I'd rather be lucky than good. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
The plane was grounded after the coins were found near one of its engines. Lu Chao admitted throwing the coins as he boarded an internal flight at, I'm not going to even try that one, an airport in eastern China in February of last year. He appeared in court in July, but the ruling was only recently made public. The flight was canceled after staff spotted 2 yuan coins.
Yuan. He's a bit of a cheapskate, because if he was trying to be serious about it, he'd have chucked something more expensive than a 1 yuan coin, which is probably around a cent or less.
So I'm thinking that maybe he's not superstitious, but just a little stitious. That's from The Office. Michael Scott. Okay.
Very good. Very good.
Safety checks were carried out, leaving
Sadly,
passengers.
he's here all week.
Yeah, I'll be here for a long time.
At least for the next couple of hours.
Okay. Oh, we have some breaking news. What's going on here? This is from Neville Bounds. Liz is breaking in, or wait, do we have our breaking news sounder? No, we don't.
Potable.
Nope, that's not it.
Well, they might need some of that water to put out this fire.
Yes.
I'm glad I made you laugh.
It was semi-appropriate.
That's one of her good laughs. Okay, well, I'll put it in post. Breaking news. Alert. Stavanger Airport is closed due to a huge fire. Oh, thank you. Stavanger. Where is that?
Stavanger.
Sounds like Scandinavia.
Yeah, I think it's I'm going to say Norway, but I'll look it up.
Okay. Closed due to a huge fire in the airport's parking garage. Norway. Thank you. Liz has confirmed it is Norway. I'm wondering what has caused the fire. I'm hoping it's just a
car's probably caught alight.
Some sort of battery in a car.
Yeah, or autoflambe.
Probably a Tesla. Oh, sorry, Mr. Tesla. I didn't mean to say that. Other electric cars have been known to catch fire.
A barbecue.
Yes, a barbecue or an auto flambe.
I've never heard of that one, Steph. That's good.
No, that's not like that.
So, yeah, hopefully it's not an airplane that crashed into that side of this parking garage. Anyway, well, I'm sure that our news staff will keep us advised. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, back to the Lucky Air and the Lucky Coins. Well, I don't think we have anything else to say about that, do we?
No.
Don't do it. It's stupid. All right. H. This is a good
Wait
one.
a minute. I have one more thing to say.
Yes.
The incident cost the airline $17,600, but they only fined the guy $17,200. Like $400 short there. Anyway,
Wow.
carry on.
He was a gold card carrier.
I guess he had status.
Yeah.
Oh, it was his first time flying.
Yeah.
No. All right.
Okay, Adam H. This is a good one. Has everybody here seen the video? It's pretty
Yes, I have.
So somebody was taking a video of while the airplane was taking off. This was a Air Canada Jazz. What was it? A 400 DHC.
I think it's a Q400.
400. What do we call them?
Dash
400, Dash 8. What do we call the 400? We call it just a 400, right? I don't know what the heck we call it.
It's the Dash 8.
Yeah. They were taking off in Montreal, and a passenger, thankfully, was taking video of the landing gear. The looked like the left side landing gear inboard tire and wheel assembly were throwing out some sparks. And then as the airplane lifts off, that inboard left main wheel comes off.
Just kind of like unceremoniously, just bloop.
Just drops off. Then that's enough.
Yep, I've had enough.
Yeah. And
Not making this trip.
yeah, and they returned to Montreal safely. The airplane can on one tire can land without a problem. It's just that you want to have two, mainly because of a situation like this. If you lose one, at least you still have one. But I think as you know, for day in and day out use, several flights a day, obviously it's designed to have more than one left side landing gear. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. They didn't really give a lot of detail why that happened. It looks like something must have been some kind of friction.
Like the big nut at the end failed, and it just wore itself off.
Was you talking to me about big nut at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
Hats off to the handling pilot. It was one of the nicest landings I've ever seen. Boy, was that smooth. So
grease.
Good job. Because I think, when you're doing that sort of thing, you've got to do a smooth landing. Sometimes that's the worst situation to be in, but he did a cracking job.
Yeah, when you think, if you come in and you prang it on, what are the chance? There's a chance that other wheel is not going to be able to support all that.
Like that 737 800 in Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so good job, crew. You're right.
Yeah, very nice job. Yeah.
Check out that video. A couple of different videos you want to watch on.
Yeah, there's a full length one which shows the beginning and the landing, and that landing is just like greased weasel, whatever. I can't say. Greased weasel poop.
I don't think
struggling with English tonight.
Greased weasel. Actually, I don't even know if I've seen a weasel, but in real life, I don't know.
If you'd seen one, you'd know about it.
Yeah. Okay.
No idea.
An airline named Delta with 107 passengers on board.
Never heard of them. Sound like some fly-by-night outfit.
They are. Slides off the runway at a Wisconsin airport. And this Wisconsin airport in question.
Green Bay. I was just there.
Do you recognize that stuff?
No, that could be literally anywhere. But
Yeah.
if there's some
Where
snow,
they
then
do all
that
the
seems-
packing in Green Bay.
They do.
Yes.
They pack a lot of meat.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cheese.
Oh, I assumed it was
the
Amazon.
cheese?
Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. They pack what?
Is that what I thought the Packers were meat packers? That's how they
Yeah,
got that name.
probably.
Oh, okay.
I assumed it was
Actually, I have no
Amazon.
idea. I don't know. They all these days they all wear big cheese wedges on their heads. So
Yeah, I think that has more to do
know.
with the fact that
I don't know.
Wisconsin is a state that makes a lot of cheese, a lot of dairy products. Oh, anyway, now we're going to get we're going to get people sending us feedback explaining what the Packers stand for and why.
I'm a Bears fan. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
So to be on record, Steph doesn't care.
I don't care.
not of importance.
You have a very nice football stadium, though. I'll say
yes. Kind of cold, but otherwise very nice. Anyway, a Delta Airlines plane slid off a taxiway amid icy conditions Saturday morning in Green Bay. The flight 1770 was headed for Atlanta when it left the taxiway around 6:15 a.m. No injuries were reported, nor was there any damage to the plane. Conditions were icy at the time of the incident. Wasn't sure what caused the plane to slide off the runway. The airport staff were aware of the icy conditions and treated the taxiway with sand and alerted pilots of the icy and slippery conditions. Not sure exactly if the pilot was taxiing too quickly or if it just was so much ice that there was nothing he could do to keep the airplane from sliding off. I don't know. You know anything at all about, do you have any friends that work for this airline, Dana, that might know something about this?
I do, but I wasn't the person I know that flies that aircraft, so don't have any further information on it, unfortunately.
Appears to be an angry puppy.
A very
angry puppy. You know, as I was explaining to my my in-laws when they were here, you know, they said, "Well, how can that happen?" Well, you drive in the Northeast. If it's icy outside, can your car depart the prepared pavement and end up in the grass? They said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what makes you think an airplane's any different?" You know, certainly, you know, there are certain factors involved. You know, were both engines running? Were they taxiing fast? Were how icy was it? How fast are they going? They try to make a turn, blah blah blah. So we can always Monday morning quarterback it, but ultimately we don't know what the conditions actually were.
And in general, in these cases, I think the advice, good advice, regardless of how heavy or light the airplane is, have both engines running. You have the thrust reversers at your disposal if necessary to help control the airplane's forward and rearward motion, and also side to side motion. So if the wheels are not getting enough grip on the runway surface, you can always use those engine thrust reversers to kind of help out. So that's why they usually recommend that in these kind of conditions, that you keep both engines running.
It's funny that we're talking about this. You mentioned thrust reversers on the angry puppy. Wasn't until about 2 weeks ago when I was out there and I saw an angry puppy land that I actually paid attention that it was buckets that came off the end of that.
It is confirmed now.
It is confirmed. Yeah. But I just had to throw that in there because that made me think of that.
Apparently, we were just all oblivious before that. So
yeah.
Sorry
I digress.
Oh, no problem. It's a good.
Our apologies to the angry puppy.
Yeah, sorry, angry puppy. All right, Jay. New Zealand paraglider achieves a record 197 kilometer flight across the South Island. Lewis Tapper, this is from stuff.co.New Zealand, NZ. Lewis Tapper completed an 8-hour flight through the South Island, securing him the national record at 197 kilometer miles traveled. National paragliding champion. Why am I reading this again? It's because it's there twice. He said he was delighted, but he could have gone further after completing the 8-hour run on December 23rd. His triangular route took him over the head of Lake Wakatipu?
Yes. I don't know.
The Rockburn Valley, past Mount Earnslaw and Mount Aspiring, and almost to the head of Lake Wanaka. The 200-kilometer distance mark had been a goal of his for a while, but he decided to save it for another run. I could have got there this time around if I'd flown for an extra 5 minutes or so, Tapper said. Then why didn't he? That's my question. I tried to go an extra ridge on a run last year and ended up having to walk for 5. Oh, this is why.
That's why.
I tried to go an extra ridge on a run last year and ended up having to walk for 5 hours with 25 kilograms on my back. I had 30 kilograms this time round and just thought, I won't get too greedy. I don't know. What is that? And that's
About
12
70
pounds.
pounds.
Oh,
Was
70
it?
pounds. What?
About 70
50
pounds.
pounds, 70
Okay.
pounds, 12 pounds. Yeah.
That's kind of heavy.
It is heavy. I'm just kidding.
Okay. I was thinking, man,
That's
I know
about like
Steph's
having
quite,
Steph on your
Not that
back.
much.
Steph's, quite an athlete,
Just
and
all your stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
we
but
have
I'm
to do
thinking-
hill runs with people on our backs. That's fine.
oh, okay.
Wow.
So what? So Lewis, if you're listening, Steph thinks you're a wimp. All right. So his flights were as much about progression and improvement. He said, I'm not just motivated by the numbers. Okay. Anyway, very good. Sounds like it was as I say, a record. And his top average speed, or his average speed, was 24 kilometers per hour during the flight, reached an altitude of almost 3,000 meters. What was that, about 10,000 feet?
24 kilometers an hour. God, that's slow.
What is that? That's very slow. But it's
slow.
a paraglider.
3,000
Yeah.
3,000 meters
meters.
is 10,000 feet. So
Yeah, it's
that's pretty
10,000
high.
feet.
Probably so that he could clear the mountains.
Oh, yeah. But it does get a bit hilly in places.
Yeah. Anyway, he lives in Queenstown, has been national paragliding champion since 2018, and competes in Europe for several months during the northern summers. Very cool. All right. Congratulations, Lewis Tapper. And, well, here's an interesting one. So this is from 1 Mile at a Time blog, 1mileataTime.com. He starts off by saying, this is by Ben. You'd think we'd seen enough 737s grounded with the whole MAX situation, though this week 3 of Bahamasair's 4 737s were banned from operating their standard routes to U.S. airports. Yes, their fleet consists of 1 737-700, 3 737-500s, 3 ATR-42s, and 2 ATR-72s. And let's see, historically, Bahamasair's 737s have operated most of their U.S. flights, including to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Orlando, which are destinations to which they have multiple daily flights. However, the 3 737-500s are no longer allowed to fly to the airports they serve. Why? Because back in 2010, so about 10 years ago, the U.S. FAA set a deadline of January 1st, 2020 for planes to be ADS-B compliant, and Bahamasair's 737-500s don't have that technology. The chairman of the airline, Tommy Turnquest, claims that the company signed a contract in June of last year for a supplier to deliver the 3 kits in September, October, and November of 2019. These kits cost $200,000 each, and the company had made a $200,000 down payment toward the $600,000 total. He claims that the supplier reneged on their responsibilities and won't be able to install these kits before March of this year. Let's see, here's a quote. The supplier indicated they are unable to provide the kits before March 2020. That's not acceptable to us. Every effort will be made to recoup the money already paid. The first came up in 2010, but very few aircraft took advantage because within 10 years, you're not sure what your fleet would be. In 2018, efforts began to outfit these various aircraft. When Bahamasair purchased 5 ATRs back in 2016, navigational kits were not put in place, but were accessed over the past 2 years. The company is now looking at a deal with a new supplier, which says that they could provide the kits within 3 weeks at the cost of $195,000 per plane. So, as everybody knows, and they just mentioned in the story, in the U.S., all aircraft, most aircraft are required to have ADS-B. Do you, Dana or Steph, recall exactly what airplanes aren't required to have ADS-B? Or I guess ones that don't have electrical systems.
Yeah, and in most controlled airspace, you're required to have it.
Okay, so probably some or very few exceptions.
Right? Yeah, it's been so long since I've flown a plane that didn't have ADS-B out. I don't remember anymore.
Right. Even the Mad Dogs that Dana and I fly have ADS-B.
Yes.
And by the way, because of the fact that on the Mad Dog, and the 90, to have ADS-B, you have to have GPS installed. And so the entire Mad Dog fleet, all the 88s and the 90s that we're flying presently, are GPS equipped. So we're no longer in the dark ages.
All right, so here you go. So Class A, all aircraft need to have it. Class B, generally surface to 10,000 feet. Class C, surface to 4,000 feet. So, yeah, if you're going to be in any controlled airspace, you need to have ADS-B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and under the mode C veil as well.
Okay, so that's underneath the
Airspace within a 30 nautical mile radius of
big airports.
Airports, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and just a reminder to those of you who don't know what ADS-B stands for, it's Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. It's a technology that determines a plane's position via satellite navigation, and it periodically broadcasts it so that it can be tracked. And that's all part of the new gen or next gen system of the National Airspace System here in the United States. So the thing I thought was kind of funny about this was that they kind of waited. I mean, they kind of hinted that they didn't want to do it 10 years ago because they weren't sure they'd be flying these 737-500s. And that's reasonable, I think. But I think they kind of waited a little bit too long to have these.
Well, this is one of those things where the longer you waited, the longer the wait time became to actually get it installed because so many aircraft needed to have it done. So, yeah, I definitely agree with their logic at the onset because that's a lot of cash. Right. But if it looks like you're gonna have those aircraft in that time frame, you probably should just go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
it's island time, man. Island time.
Yeah, so
they can get just let them know we need to install it in October for January 1st, and it's island time. Maybe we'll get it done.
Yeah. Maybe not.
I mean, I can see the point on waiting to see if the aircraft is still going to be flying because the 737-500 is a pretty old aircraft.
Yeah.
But waiting that long, then they put themselves in their own bind. They really do.
Yeah. So I guess the point is, like, do we really feel that sorry for Bahamasair? No, not really.
Although they did have a catastrophic hurricane go through the islands this past year.
That is true.
But I'm not giving them an excuse on that either.
Okay. There you go. All right. And finally, item Lima L. This is breaking news from Chris Cheatwood. He sent this a few days ago. The FAA has confirmed reviewing a potentially catastrophic wiring issue that could cause a short circuit on the Boeing 737. Come on, help me out. MAX. Thank you.
Max. I had to unmute my microphone and I was having trouble. Every time I hit the button, it would like unmute and remute it. I was like, no.
I'm thinking, really? You're going to leave me hanging like that, huh?
Sorry.
Okay.
We don't want to
try to, but
didn't want to help me.
Didn't want to help. Yeah.
Boeing spokesman Gordon Jondro said Sunday the U.S. plane maker identified this issue as a part of the rigorous process, and we are working with the FAA to perform the appropriate analysis. And I want to say what he really said, but I can't. It's a family show.
Family show, ladies and gentlemen. Family show.
The New York Times reported Boeing is reviewing whether two bundles of wiring are too close together, which could lead to a short circuit and potentially result in a crash if pilots did not respond appropriately. The FAA said in a statement Sunday, the agency and company are analyzing certain findings from a recent review of the proposed modifications to the Boeing 737 MAX. The agency added, it will ensure that all safety-related issues identified during this process are addressed. Otherwise, we're hosed. Yeah. I added that part. Boeing is currently working to design separating the wiring bundles if necessary and conducting extensive analysis to establish if the electrical fault could occur in a real-world scenario. Officials said the FAA had directed Boeing to complete an audit in December. The wiring issue could push back the return of the MAX. Wow. The FAA flagged the wiring issue as potentially catastrophic. It is possible other protections like shielding, insulation, and circuit breakers could prevent the short circuit, company officials said. So if it isn't one thing, it's another. I mean, man, talking about a string of bad luck for.
Yeah. The trouble is that the airplane and the company are under the microscope right now.
Yes, they are.
And the slightest thing that's going to worry the FAA, they're going to flag up. So,
yeah. Not a good place to be.
No, but I guess this is the time to address all of those things,
Yeah.
It's an opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, that's it with the news segment of the show, and that means it's time to get to know the APG show crew. And let's see, who wants to start off this week? Everybody's just wistfully.
Jeff. How about you, Jeff? You never.
Oh, yeah,
start.
you never start.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will do that then. Let's see, what have I been up to since the last show? Well, I ended up flying a trip on, what day did we record the last time?
Last
I
week.
have no idea.
Okay,
Time is irrelevant.
let me look at the
Holidays have been in a
calendar.
blur.
Yeah.
You know what? I have no idea. Someone help us out. Someone in
Earlier in
the
the week, was it
I think it was
Monday?
last Tuesday. Monday or
what?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
It was Monday. It was Monday. The day before
Yeah, because
New
it
Year's
wasn't New Year's Eve. So.
Okay. So I have been doing some stuff then. New Year's Eve, my youngest daughter's birthday, Natalie, she turned 23. I was home for that. Unfortunately, she wasn't. Know where she was. She went out with her friends. Yeah, she's an adult. What can you do? But New Year's Day and that morning, I left for a 4-day trip. I picked up to kind of make up for some time that I lost by dropping a trip next week, which I'll talk about here in a second. So it was a decent trip. Savannah, New Orleans, Philadelphia. The weather was not great here for that. A lot of rain in a lot of different places. But I was able to Texas and LaShock. You'll be happy to know that I actually made it to New Orleans, and we parked at the new terminal over there, and it's very, very nice. We received some feedback from Texas and LaShock regarding the exterior and interior of the new airport terminal, and it's very, very, very nice. What else can I say? Yeah, it was a good trip, long trip, 4 days, but made it home on Saturday in time to do some of my singing in the 3 different choirs I sing in at my church. And then after that, back out on this trip. Left on Monday morning. It's a 3-day trip. And yesterday, Monday, the first day, ended up in Baltimore, Maryland, and we went from there to Annapolis. But when I was at the airport, I got to meet up with Captain Will Cool, who was ending his trip at DCA, and he lives in the Baltimore area, not very far at all from the Baltimore-Washington International Airport. So he, on the way home, stopped by and met up with myself and Hillel. Hillel was there to fly to Albany, New York, and we went up to the observation area in the airport, and we got to chat. And also there was Captain Craig and his wife Ashley. And so the 5 of us got to chat for a while, and then Captain Cool left for his home. He said he had a very important package that he had to attend to, and that is his congratulations, Will. He had a baby boy not too long ago at all, and so a little bit premature, but he's doing fine, and beautiful youngster. We got to see some pictures of that. So Susie and Will, congratulations. His name is Josh. And so it was nice seeing you, Will, and great seeing you as well, Hillel. And so Hillel went on to his gate, and Will left, and then Craig and Ashley and I were transported, or Craig and Ashley transported me over to Annapolis to our hotel there. And by the way, Dana, that's the first time I've been to that actual location. The other 2 times I've been to Annapolis, we were kind of in a shopping area, like a mall area, lots of other buildings and that kind of thing. This place is kind of between there and the old downtown, or like near the academy and whatever.
I think about 6 months ago we moved from, I think it was a DoubleTree over by the mall area,
right.
to there's 2 now that they use in Annapolis that are more downtown.
Yeah. And this one was the Hilton Garden Inn, and it was very nice. Great location. So they dropped me off, went up to the room, checked in, and changed very quickly, and then went from there over to the Boatyard Bar and Grill, and had some amazingly good seafood. and we were able to record some audio. I packed up my H5 audio recorder and the ATR 2100 microphone. I was all set, put it in my backpack, took all the stuff out of the backpack that I didn't really need to have, and then I left the backpack on my bed and went downstairs and got into the car and went over to the Boatyard Grill without my recording equipment. So I used my trusty iPhone to do a recording once we were finished with our meal and went outside because it was kind of noisy inside. And let's take a listen.
5 minutes before it overheated and blew the fuse. We discovered that when it went off on a short.
Wait a minute. That is the non-edited version. How did that happen? Okay, let me get to the point where I think this should start.
We're at the...
Nope. It says it's recording. Okay.
Well, hey, we're at the Boatyard Bar and Grill in Annapolis, Maryland. We're having a meetup here, and I'm just going to pass my phone around. I'm sorry for the lack of high-quality audio equipment that I left in my hotel room, but we're gonna do this anyway. And let's start with, everybody knows, well, used to be First Officer Craig. It's Captain Craig. Here he is.
Hey, PGers, Captain Craig here. Just had a great night with great alcoholic beverages, some IPAs going around, some great seafood since we are in a good spot for it here in Annapolis, and the best of all, the great camaraderie of our aviators, and just enjoying the time and the conversation. And it's been a great night, and showing Jeff some good mid-Atlantic seafood and
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Sorry, it's lost of words right now. It's just been overwhelming.
Wait a minute. Okay, hang on. That is not the one I want to play. That was the raw version. And now I'm going to see if I can find the one that I spent some time editing. Here we go. Meetup audio. Let's try this one.
Well, hey, we're at the Boatyard Bar and Grill in Annapolis, Maryland. We're having a meetup here, and I'm just going to pass my phone around. I'm sorry for the lack of high-quality audio equipment that I left in my hotel room, but we're gonna do this anyway. And let's start with, everybody knows, well, used to be First Officer Craig. It's Captain Craig. Here he is.
Hey, PGers, Captain Craig here. Just had a great night with great alcoholic beverages, some IPAs going around, some great seafood since we are in a good spot for it here in Annapolis, and the best of all, the great camaraderie of other aviators, and just enjoying the time and the conversation. And it's been a great night, and showing Jeff some good mid-Atlantic seafood and hospitality.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Sorry, it's lost of words right now. It's just been overwhelming. So good time. And passing it along to my wife, Ashley.
Hello. I don't know what else to say, but hi. Have a good day.
Hi, it's Christine. Okay, I'm a local here, and I've been listening to APG for a little bit, and I'm trying to just get that private pilot. But this was a lot of fun tonight talking aviation.
Yeah.
Yay.
Good food.
And oh, they had my lobster roll. So if you need a lobster roll, come to the Boatyard in Annapolis.
Hey, this is Tuba Tony from Arlington, Virginia. It's a second meetup, and I've been a listener since episode 193. It was really great to finally meet Jeff and have some beers and talk some aviation.
Hey, APG fam, Marks, or what is this new nickname?
Jerk.
Something Jerk.
Master Jerk.
Master Jerk. Okay, I'm now known as Master Jerk. Second meetup. Last time was, where were we? Annapolis again?
Also
with Dana?
With Dana.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So again, good food, good times with good people. So looking forward to another one.
Hey, this is APG's resident dick, though I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to say that anymore. Apparently, we got a complaint last time. I've been to a few of these, and they're always a good time. So I don't know. I don't know what y'all are listening to us anymore for. Go out somewhere and get a drink.
And the reason why I call Mark's Master Jerk is because he makes the best homemade beef jerky I've ever had in my life. First sample of it was at Oshkosh, and tonight he gifted me with just a huge, what did you start off with, 3 pounds?
3 pound roast.
3 pound roast.
Roughly a pound of jerky.
About a pound of jerky, and I think I've eaten about half a pound already of it. It's so good.
You've handed out a lot of
Yeah, I did. But I'm not going to give out anymore. This is all. The rest of it is mine. So thank you very much, Marks, and all of you. Thank you for coming together. And that's as I say over and over and again. It's the best part of doing this show is the community, and so the show is just an excuse. So signing off from Annapolis, Maryland.
All right, that. Where's my bag? Where is my bag?
I've had that stuff, and
It's being
brilliant,
consumed.
and I want some
Should
more.
I bring some with me? Would that be something I can bring?
Yeah, just don't tell anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't let the dogs
We
sniff the bag.
all know.
Yeah, but hopefully the agriculture, fisheries, and food won't have heard
Listening
this.
to our show. Oh well. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
That's all right. You're
Pretty
good.
sure it'll all be consumed tonight.
Yes. Might
was
be
it?
actually.
Mhm.
So yeah, wonderful beef jerky. They brought some. Marks had made some, or it was maybe was it Rob that made it as well for the Oshkosh?
I think it was Max.
Marks. Okay, yeah, he's the master jerk.
Mhm.
And this is a package. I think everybody on the crew received this from Robert Fairbairn, otherwise known as Dick. And so I'm going to go ahead and open it while we're doing this. Oh, Hamish, yes. By the way,
Well,
if
that
you're
was-
watching the video, that's the picture that we that was taken of us at the table in the Boatyard Bar and Grill. And so we had Christine, Lieutenant Colonel Christine. I'm sorry, Christine, I don't remember your last name, who you heard in that audio. And then Craig and Ashley and myself and Tuba Tony sitting next to me on my left, and Robert and Marks.
Christine, keep us updated on your private pilot journey, please.
Yes, please do. Glad she was able to make it. Okay, so we have this little golfing tool, and it says McDonnell Douglas, and it has a F-15 on one side and McDonnell Douglas printed on the other. Trying to get it out of this plastic. What is this thing called? A divot tool or something like that?
Yeah.
Divot
repair.
Repair.
Do you
Repairs
want
the.
to enlarge your screen a bit? Because
Oh, yeah.
you're
Let me do-
like the size of a thumbnail.
Okay, let me remove that, and I can do this, and then hold this up to.
Oh, there you go.
There we
That's
go.
nice.
Now you can see it if you're watching the video.
Oh, that bring back memories. Lovely McDonnell Douglas.
And your favorite airplane, Captain Nick. When did you fly this
No.
one? The F-15?
That's an F-18, isn't it?
No, it's an F. It's an. I think you said it was an F-15.
Oh, is it? It looks a bit. I mean, it's a bit hard to tell. But
Yeah, it's not a super accurate.
you think it could serve us both? Because then I could sort of use it. Not that I play golf anymore.
Okay, well, let's just call it an F-18 then. And so thank you, Rob, for that. What
It's
else?
an F-15.
Thanks. Okay. Let me go back to this page.
I don't want it to be an F-15.
For Nick, it's an F-18. For everybody else, it's an F-15.
Okay.
I mentioned that I was doing a lot of singing at my church, and it was actually the following Sunday. I was waiting in between masses, sang at the 9 o'clock, and then normally we have a rehearsal between the masses, but we got that week off. We didn't have a rehearsal, but I usually hang around and sing at the 12:15. So I had a couple of about an hour and a half to kill, and I was sitting in my car in the parking lot of the church, and there was a Roswell, city of Roswell police officer. There are usually several of them directing traffic in and out of the parking lots. And he was walking back from his position, and he walked by the front of the car, and then he stopped and he kind of like tapped on my window, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, because I was on my phone and I had the engine running, and I'm thinking, is it kind of like when maybe you're intoxicated and you're sitting at the wheel of your car and you have the engine running and you're technically driving while intoxicated kind of deal with the phone? You know, you're not supposed to use your mobile device in Georgia. That law was passed, I think, last year. And so I'm thinking, oh boy, he's going to give me a ticket or something. So I roll down my window and he said, "Hi, my name is Noah Kaplan, and I listen to your podcast and I love it." And I went, "Oh, I thought you were going to give me a ticket."
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I said, "Are you a pilot?" And he goes, "Nope, just like, flying, and, I'm just an enthusiast, and found your podcast a while back." And he said, "I love listening to it." So
No, I think you should have given him a ticket anyway, because he undoubtedly deserved it.
Well, of course I do. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about all the other things I've done wrong. Now that I know,
driving while stash.
now that I know that there's a city of Roswell lieutenant listening to our show, I have to be very careful about what I reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too late.
Very nice meeting you. After so we talked and said our goodbyes, and then I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go eat somewhere for breakfast. So I thought Waffle House sounds like a good place to go. And so I went back around to see if he wanted to join me. I said, "I'll buy you breakfast if you want to have breakfast." And unfortunately, he had to stay at the church parking lot to take care of the next mass. So anyway, there's that story. And in the airport, was it today? Yeah, in Baltimore, we were leaving this morning, and I was ordering something from one of the fast food places for breakfast, and I saw this guy and his co-pilot walking by, but nothing was said. And then I think he must have overheard my voice when I was talking with Brent. And then all of a sudden I see somebody pop up and walk over, "Captain Jeff?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, I recognized your voice. And she said he's been listening to the podcast for a while as well. Captain for a regional out of Baltimore. Captain Justin, I believe, is what he said his name was. If not, sorry, but I think it was Justin. Nice to meet you. And then today in Atlanta, walking through the concourse, there was a gentleman that kind of looked at me, and I kind of overheard as I went by. He was talking to his wife, said something, "Captain Jeff." So I kind of turned around and looked at him. He goes, "Are you Captain Jeff?" I said, "Yeah." And so Peter is his name. I forget your last name, Peter. He was there with his wife and his daughter, and they were, I think they had come in from somewhere else, heading down to Houston. So Peter and family, hello, just a shout out to you. And there you go. That's, I think, all I had for what I've been doing since the last show. Now actually this week, later this week on Thursday, I'm going to get on an airplane in Atlanta and head to London. And then Captain Nick has very graciously volunteered to pick me up at the airport at Heathrow. And we're going to be there several of us are going to be there for the PTUK 300 episode celebration. So I'm looking forward to that. There you go. So with that transition, why don't we go right to Nick right there, right below me?
Not a great deal to say other than I've been busy working out something to say. I was asked to produce something for the 300th PT UK show, so I've been busy doing that and catching up with various other bits and bobs. I do have some plain tales waiting to be published, and Jeff is kind enough to upload them. I've put a few up, but I have some more to do, so please bear with me while I get those done. And the only other thing I'm going to mention is that I got a lovely book, and it's called The Long Flight Home, by Leanne Anderson, which is a great name. I like that name very much.
Lynn?
Sorry?
Lynn?
Laine.
Oh, okay. I like that name.
Lady?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's the...
you're saying Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson's the great name.
Okay.
And inside it says, to Captain Nick, keep flying high and keep up the great podcast, from Leanne Anderson 2019. So it's signed by the author. Thank you very much
Ooh,
indeed. And was sent to me by Patrick Pullis, one of our fine listeners from Australia. This is South Australia. And Patrick and I often PM each other, stories about what he's up to, etc. He does a lot of gliding and is involved with the Australian Air Cadets. So he does a great job with them, bringing on young pilots and enthusing the youngsters of Australia with aviation, which is a fantastic thing to do. Anyway, this book is about, I haven't quite started it yet, but looking at it, I think it's written around the Great Race, which I did a plain tale about recently. The Great Race just after the First World War between London and Australia. And it was won by three guys in a Vickers Vimy. But this is a love story that is intertwined with that race. So I'm looking forward to that. And so thank you very much indeed, Patrick, for
we need
that
more
kind
love
gift.
here.
We do. And of course, with that in mind, Patrick's living in the part of Australia where they've had these appalling bushfires. So just Patrick and all our listeners out there in Australia who might be affected or are just suffering the side effects of these bushfires.
And we just had Daniel join us on Facebook, who's in Sydney, so it's quite smoky this morning.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not only is it terrible for the firefighters who their guys are dying out there trying to keep these fires under control. It's the inhabitants who are having their homes destroyed. It's just incredibly sad. The destruction of the countryside and the wildlife is horrendous. So, hearts out to you guys and girls. Hope it ends soon. But of course, it's just really the beginning of the bushfire season. So, we all just pray that it ends soon and things calm down. And perhaps get some wet weather for a while, which would certainly help because they've just been having the worst possible weather conditions for this kind of thing. So we're thinking of you guys. Sorry about that. Wish we could do more.
Yeah.
Well said.
Well, yeah. All our thoughts and prayers for everybody over there that are experiencing those terrible fires.
Absolutely. So thanks for the book. And other than that, I'm looking forward to the 300th and the weekend, seeing you guys and, enjoying your company for a little while. It'll probably be way too short. Sorry you can't make it, Dana, but it's going to be great anyway.
I was just looking at the flights. I'm considering it.
Oh, well, you never know.
Not ruled it out yet.
I'd have to drop my trip. But I feel like I'm really missing out.
So don't forget to book your hotel room.
I can sleep on the curb. I don't care. I'll just sleep outside Jeff's door with a vacuum cleaner. Get it against the door.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll wake up and bang, bang.
I recommend you fly your trip, Dana.
Why is that, Jeff?
Well, the thing you just explained you were going to be doing to my hotel room.
God, it's so tempting.
Well, Dana, is that it, Nick?
Yep, that's. I've got nothing else to say. So.
Forward to seeing you as well, Dana. Since we were just hearing from you, what's been up with you?
Well, actually, I really missed something very important I failed to talk about a show and a half ago, and I don't know what I think we just got too involved with Christmas, talking about it. What everybody did for Christmas, and it was kind of a little hiatus. And I did want to talk about this because it's very informative and a very interesting story. I was going into Columbus, Ohio, a small Midwestern. You mentioned it earlier, so it spawned my memory. On my first leg of my first trip over the Christmas holiday, first round trip. And we had an alternate on the flight plan, so I always automatically do an auto land check of the airplane, as well as it gives me a little heightened awareness to check the weather and check things. And dispatch was already texting me via the ACARS that right now it's not looking so great, but go ahead and we have good alternate and the good weather and so forth. So good communication going on. Coming into Columbus for 2-8 left, doing the Cat 2 Autoland approach. RVR minimums are 1,200, and we are authorized down to 1,000. However, obviously with the airport approach plate being 1,200, that was our minimums. In a Cat 2 scenario, we have to have certain recording equipment reporting the RVRs, which are controlling just touchdown. And the final approach fix on a Cat 2, as long as you have passed the final approach fix, you can continue with the approach and take a look-see with a Cat 2 approach. With Cat 3, you can't if it goes below minimums. So I have no idea why this controller decided to do this, but about 5 miles outside of the final approach fix, the minimums went below, and he called it out. I said, well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much. We're going to go around. We can no longer continue the approach. So they started spinning us around because it kept on, varying between, I think it was about 800 to 14 or 1600 RVR. They decided to swing us around for runway 10 right because that runway is reporting good RVR. The primary on a Cat 2 is the touchdown has to be, in this case, 1200. And then mid and rollout can be 600, 300, which are actually 300s below Cat 3 mins. But as long as you have the required controlling equipment at or above those minimums, then you're fine. So they started swinging us around for runway 10 right, and they said, well, now that's gone below, and we're out here, and we're still to the east of the airport in position to go for the 2-8 left. And I looked, had calculated my bingo fuel, and decided, all right, well, we're going to take one last approach at this. If this doesn't work, no matter what, we're going to Cincinnati. So we came in, and they didn't call any changes, but we broke out right at Cat 2 minimums at 100 feet above the ground. And touchdown, the autopilot did a fantastic job and put us on the ground safely. Between the two runway side lights and the centerline light was right down the middle. So I knew the sight picture was good, and taxied the aircraft clear. We got everybody in, but we were very, very, very close to going around and going to Cincinnati. Landed with sufficient fuel to make it to Cincinnati and have my IFR reserve, so I was happy with that. But we were getting close to that bingo fuel, and the pucker factor starts to get up a little bit there. But that was my first leg on the first day of my trips, and the first time I flew with that guy. So that was very interesting. Kind of like you do it in the sim.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was back there December 24th. So let me fast forward. I had the distinct opportunity yesterday to have a interview requested of me. First one I've had, actually, that I've actually done, and that was Ready for Takeoff from George Nolly.
Oh, cool.
And it was a fantastic. I had George. Hi, George. Thank you. It was an amazing experience.
Such a nice guy.
He is a great guy. What a great interviewer. I mean, I've started listening to his podcast. Obviously I listened to both you and Nick and Jeff, your interviews with him. And so I listened to what he had asked and how to ask, what he asked and when he asked. And so I had a pretty good idea going into it, what we were going to talk about. And it was very, very informative. And he was kind of touched at some of my story and how I ended up where I'm at now, which he didn't know. What else? So that's going to be, he's telling me it's going to be out on the 13th of January, which is this coming Monday, episode number 360, if you want to listen.
Neat.
Then I left.
Ready for Takeoff podcast.
Ready for Takeoff. That's
Ready 360. You'll have gone full circle.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm doing a 360. I'm doing a loop to loop. All right. Anyways, what else? Oh yeah. I have some audio that we'll play here in a second. But Flying Life podcast, 2 podcasts in one day. Dispatcher Mike was very courteous to invite me down to his house because I had not seen it. I wanted to go ahead and see his house, and as well as catch up and see his brand new vehicle he'll talk about. So why don't you go ahead and play the audio on that there,
Okay.
Captain Jeff?
I'll do that. But before I do, let me correct myself. It's Ready for Takeoff podcast.com. That's how you can find George. George Nolly's great Ready for Takeoff show. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play the meetup audio, you and Mike.
Hello there, APG listeners. This is Captain Dana, and I've had a very exciting day today. Got to talk to Ready for Takeoff and George Nolly. That was a very nice interview. And then somehow I got in my car and it got lost, and it started driving, and somehow this address got entered into the GPS. I followed the GPS because it had its nose smelling from all the way about 38 miles away the wonderful ribs that were being produced and smoked in my honor. And somehow I ended up at this guy's house. I don't know, you may have heard of him before, but let me tell you what, he put on one hellacious dinner. It was amazing and very enjoyable. His wife and kids were very hospitable, beautiful home, and also actually just bought a new vehicle. I'm going to let him tell you all about it. And why don't I just go ahead and start talking about him and introduce him? Anyways, I'll let him introduce himself because he has a podcast himself. And he's going to say hello. Hold on. Here he is.
Hello, APG crew and community. It's Dispatcher Mike. And yes, after a year of finally trying to get Dana to come over to my house, I just sent him my schedule for January. I said, look, pick a day. Come over, any day that's off, we'll make it work. And he goes, well, all right, Monday it is. So quickly went out to the store, bought 3 lovely racks of ribs, threw them on there at about 10:45 this morning out on the smoker. And they were horrible. They were absolutely rubbish. No, food turned out good. My wife made some lovely potato salad. Great evening hanging out here with Dana. Now that leaves just you, Captain Nick, for the only APG crew member that has not visited and come and shared and dined with us. So challenge is up for you. As far as the car, I got to show Dana my new car and how it worked, and I got to throw his head into the back of the seat.
I have whiplash.
Back of the seat a couple of times. So it's very happy to do it. It's a very fun car to own and to drive and not put gasoline into it. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with the car. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, but no, it's anytime we get together as a community, it's always great. And I told Dana to bring a microphone so we could record something.
And what's the name of the car there, Mike?
I was beating around the bush, Dana. But no, I have a Tesla Model 3.
And let me tell you what, it's an amazing vehicle. Not that I'm pushing or advertising for Tesla. It's just it was fun to take a ride on it. I don't know that I would get one. Certainly I would be able to operate. I'm not so sure about my lovely bride. She can't even turn on the TV. So anyways, anyway, we're going to continue to have some fun here. And I got to tell you, Mike, those ribs, you just absolutely smoked them. Yeah, no, I really did knock them out of the park.
Well, the good news is you get to take some home with you. You get to take some potato salad home with you because my wife thought she was feeding the 12th Regiment of the U.S. Army. But definitely get some food home, and you got to have to take some to your beautiful bride, and she needs to come back with you next time.
Yeah, we'll work on that, and hopefully, once we get all weekends lined up, we can go ahead and hopefully get to do that sometime. And what a beautiful home you have, beautiful family. I can't thank you enough for your hospitality. Yes, there's about at least another 10 pounds of potato salad over there. Delicious, homemade beans, ribs that were just to die for. Mike, you just killed it. And we're both sitting here patting our stomachs, and I think I need a wheelbarrow to get out to my vehicle so I can get home. But anyways, on that note, I'm not going to say anything more at this point. What I am going to say is, Jeff, back to you in the studio.
All right, I got it. Thank you for the throw.
Yes, sir. So that was a fun day, and unfortunately, I was actually available yesterday because of my current condition and the reason why I'm hesitant to even think about this coming weekend. So I'm out on medical right now, so not good. So we'll see. I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed.
Well, we hope you feel better soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we all do. And thanks, Mike, for the invitation. I will take you up one day.
Please
And
do. It's such.
I think he did invite me, but it was like a Monday. I was like, Mike, I have to work.
work.
Well, there is a little drop of a hint in there, and that's all I'm going to say in that audio recording. So I'm just going to leave that alone. You'll find out soon.
It's a good thing that Julie doesn't listen to the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she knows.
How much chance of that?
She knows. She is technologically challenged. I mean, it's pretty it's pretty funny at times. But you know what? I was in that Tesla, and it's an amazing vehicle. What they've done with it. The fact that he was sitting there without his hands on the steering wheel scared the living bejeebus out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming around the corner, and we're doing 45, 48 miles an hour, and it's coming around the corner. And all the cars are at a complete stop around the corner. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna die, And he was actually ready to stop the vehicle, but it did stop itself. And so it's the technology is crazy. It's just ludicrous. So
one of our people in the chat room, Neville Bounds, was asking, do you think that Mike has just recently parked at the Stavanger airport?
I hope not.
The fire there.
Otherwise it's
I hope
toast.
not. Yeah, that'd be a sad day.
Unfortunate. Yeah, it's a new car.
Naomi was a fantastic host as well, and the kids are fantastic. So had a wonderful time.
Yeah, sweet. All right,
and hopefully I'll be in. If I'm not over in England, and I just checked, by the way, there's no coverage. I can't drop the trip, of course. So if not, I may be in Toronto this Sunday.
There you go.
Do we know anybody in that area?
Nobody.
Okay.
She's shaking her head at you.
Love to see her new facility in residence.
Yes, the APG production studio.
That's correct.
All right, Steph.
Yes.
What you been up to?
So I took a week and I had to work. I really only had the holidays this week. Both fell on Wednesdays, both Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So I only had those days off of work. But I elected not to do much of anything with that time. And it was great. I took a lot of time to sleep in on the days that I was actually off. Work volume was maybe a little bit lighter than usual for a holiday season. I think that's because things were in the middle of the week and a lot of people were out of town on vacation, whatnot. I haven't really done much of anything, but I suppose that's a good thing because my schedule for the rest of January is just jam-packed. Starting this weekend, it's going to be nonstop through like early February. So looking forward to that.
Gonna run a couple marathons this month?
Only in training. It is the official start of training for the London Marathon. Woohoo!
Oh, when's that?
16 weeks from Sunday, this past Sunday.
Okay.
So April 26th, I think. I keep wanting to say 28th, but I think it's the 26th. So I'll be in town for that. I think another aviation podcast host is also going to be running, and he'll have some more details out about that soon, but he is running for charity. So if you listen to the Plane Safety podcast, be on the lookout for that. He can use your help to help fundraise for his chosen charity. He's got some information online about that already on Twitter. And so, yeah, that should be a lot of fun. And speaking of London, hopefully I'll see some of you guys there this weekend. It's looking more likely than not I will be there.
Oh, so it's not completely.
Well, there's always a chance. There's some family medical stuff going on that I've been kind of on the fence about, but things were very reassuring last weekend. So I've pretty well committed to being there unless something major happens, which I don't think so. Fortunately,
when do you suppose you'll be showing up? Sometime on Saturday?
Saturday morning, like right before.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We hope to see you as well.
Yeah, it'll be good if I can get there. So hopefully I'll see you guys, Jeff and Nick. And
absolutely.
Nick's got a T-shirt in his possession that I purchased.
I do. Now, do you want me to bring? I'll bring that to the hotel.
Yeah, bring it to the hotel if you don't mind. If you forget it, it's fine. But yeah, it's
well,
not
I
a
can
big
give
deal.
it to Jeff if nothing else.
Yeah, true story.
Why don't you wear it, Nick?
Yeah, I could. I can probably
Like,
get it on
slide
my
it on
right
his-
arm. Yes.
Here you go,
And-
Steph.
Yeah.
Completely destroyed T-shirt.
Yeah. Thanks. And actually, some interesting stuff, quasi aviation / weather related, but also weather dependent, perhaps happening next week. So I won't give too many details on that yet, but I should have some information next week if it happens. So
Some kind of an astronomical event.
you could say it's related to the space agency
Oh.
here in the U.S. So
Are you an astronaut? Oh,
no, I am not an astronaut. Not even close. But we'll see. That's a weather dependent event. So if the weather is good, I might have some cool stuff to share and talk about next week, aviation and weather related. And yeah, gosh, then I'm on vacation, and then I'm teaching at a conference.
Oh, another one of
And, no, this is legitimate.
At a conference.
This is legitimate. And yeah, hopefully I find time to be on the show in the next like 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, we'll try to get you on whenever we can, and I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be like for the rest of the month for all of us, but as we always do, we'll just wing it.
Yeah, but anyway, it's been good to catch up on sleep. Glad to hear Dana's going to be on Ready for Takeoff podcast, and I feel like I need to apologize to George Nolly because he asked me forever ago, and I just never got back to him with a good date because I don't know if there ever was a good day or time, but I don't know. It's still open if the invitation is still out there, so we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah. And I'm not an astronaut, but I people have called me a space cadet. So, not sure.
Most of your first officers do, I'm sure.
Behind my back. All right.
Probably all the mooning you do.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Let's then do this. The Coffee Fund, which is your way to support the show financially if you'd like.
How much more coffee?
And let's see, that's the Jeff Smith singing the Java Jive in the background. And let me sing a little bit with him.
Coffee and tea
And the Java and me, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. All right. He's so much better a singer than I. Anyway, a couple different ways to support us via the Coffee Fund. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method. And since the last episode, a recurring payment or a contribution from Randolph or Randy Ackerman, and a payment from or a contribution from Pierre Engblom. So thank you, both of you, for your contributions to the Coffee Fund. And the other way to do it is to become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And we have a new executive producer. Yay, where's my... There it is. Applause. Her name, Cindy Waltz. So thank you, Cindy, for your patronage. And if you want to join these fine people, you can head over to our wonderful website, airlinepilotguy.com, and click the coffee tab, and there you'll find more information about how you can be part of this great group of folks. So thank you very much, everyone, for your contributions. And we're glad that you take the time and effort to do that.
Captain, incoming message.
Do we need to take a break?
Yes. Yeah, I could do with another beer.
Yeah.
I could go with a
physiological
break. Yes. So
I could do with a psychological break. You guys are nuts.
That's true.
Did you just figure that out?
No, Nick, we're all knocking futz.
Yeah.
So, if you had known that, Nick, let's see, was that January of 2016 when you made the fateful decision to agree to be one of the co-hosts of the show?
He made that decision when he got on that airplane and came to Miami. I think he knew what he was in for.
Yeah, I assumed I'd be able to keep you guys on the other side of the Atlantic, but
no, we're coming over. We've discovered it's really not that
Nick.
far away, and we'll be there. So.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, yeah, I hope you can make it, Dana, but quite understand if you can't, mate. It's going to be probably a bit difficult for you.
Yeah, and yeah, it's sad.
And this might be one of the shortest, or the shortest to date trip across the pond for me.
You're absolutely nuts, Dr. Stuff.
You're
just nuts.
24 hours.
You're not. You are truly
No,
not.
probably closer to 30 hours.
At least you can get business class both ways.
One way.
Oi.
The way that matters the most.
Oi.
It's just like being an airline pilot, Steph.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong job apparently.
You
I still have
are.
to go back to work on Monday.
They're supposed to pay you, not the other way around.
Yeah. Well.
So is everybody, Dana, are you going to stay there, or are you going to take a break as well?
Going for a break. Be back.
I just took a break actually while you're doing the coffee fund. So
well,
I'm
entertain
good.
the troops then.
All right. What am I going to say though? I'm not entertaining. Oh, now you put me front and center. Oh, geez. Well, let's see. Let's look in the chat room here. Armando wants many beers. I've given up alcohol for a while. Yeah, so unfortunately, what's going on here? Oh, I see what's going on. My iPad here is sitting on my computer. I was putting in all dashes in the comment function. Yeah, I wish I could go. I actually had the time off, but didn't want to eat up in my savings by not having the extra trip. Now it looks like I'm gonna have to call in sick for that. Maybe not. I don't know. I I worked those 9 straight days, and my it's 9 straight days and my 10 straight days and 1 day off in the middle there. And my Achilles tendon, which is on my left side, I've had 2 surgeries on, is very sensitive. So after being out there and working the brakes, and of course the Mad Dog is not exactly the easiest airplane to set brakes or work the brakes on. It's an older design, no hydraulics there really, hydraulic brakes, but setting them, it's quite a long movement on the feet, so it just got really sore and inflamed on me. So now I'm hurting. So I don't know if it used to be when I was an FO I could get away with it. Now as a captain I can't. No, Colonel. I always say this wrong. Colonel Kyle. It's not Colonel. It's Kyle from Mississippi.
Carl, Columbus, Mississippi.
Kyle, Columbus, Mississippi. That's it. I have not moved. Same room. I just took down the underwear. That's what you're missing. So yeah. Hi, Deanne. Yeah, it's not what I need happening right now because I'm going on vacation the end of the month. In order for me to get to my vacation, I need to be able to travel, and if I'm out sick, I can't travel. So, Harry, Mike, wow, I'm in a cast right now for Achilles. What did you do? Did you rupture, or is it pulled, or because I've had 3 surgeries, 1 on the right leg and 2 on the left, and the Achilles is a tough injury to recover. It took me, I actually didn't walk on either Achilles for over a year. So,
people can die from that.
Yep, it was nasty.
Particularly if they get shot with an arrow.
Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Mm. Sounds familiar.
Scuba day and less pressure on the foot. Well, unfortunately, that's absolutely incorrect because that's where the fins attach right there. At the Achilles. Yes, Harry, Mike, I know exactly what you went through. Ruptured Achilles. So I get it, my friend. It's a long recovery. And one of the bad things about the Achilles is there's very little blood flow down there. So it takes a long time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So is somebody, are there certain people that are more prone to be exposed to the Achilles heel injuries, or?
That'd be a question for Dr. Steph. I mean, for me personally, I've got the answer, but I can tell you what happened with it. But
or is it associated with sports usually, or not?
Usually,
can be.
For me, it was sports. I was playing baseball. I played baseball for 17 years, and my body was not wanting to do what my mind was telling it to do in a playoff game. So I was running as hard as I possibly could to beat out a throw. And I wasn't quite as big as I am now, but I'm still a big guy. And it just, I have had on both back sides of both of my Achilles, underneath the Achilles where the bone attachment is, I had huge bone spurs growing.
There's also with the Achilles tendon kind of an interesting relationship between fluoroquinolones, which is a type of antibiotic, Cipro being a common one. If you're on Cipro, it can increase your risk for tendon injury and tendon rupture. So,
well, I know.
Yeah. So,
or at least that's what I learned back in med school, like a long time ago. So, whether that's still true,
Could have been that long ago.
It's been a while.
You haven't got any gray hair yet. Couldn't have been that long ago.
I just hide them well.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a few in there.
And I'm short 3/4 of an inch in my left. Well, we could go so many places with that. But let me finish saying that before I finished laughing at it. 3/4 of an inch of tendon on my left Achilles tendon. They had to go into my calf and extend it now because the first surgery went bad on me. So this left leg is far more susceptible to overusage.
What are we laughing?
I'm laughing at Neville. He says the PTUK 300 show will also feature presenters' medical ailments.
Oh, well,
So we
hope it's a long show.
Okay. Are we ready to start knocking out some of this feedback?
You bet.
Let's do it.
Yes. All right. Let's start with one. And this is from Captain Andre. Hi, APG crew. I love your show. In show 405, you spoke of the flight attendant that saved the day by pointing out the need for de-icing seconds before takeoff. The article and your on-air comments leave the impression that ice and snow on the wings of the aircraft is a black and white no-go all the time. I don't know anything specific about the involved airline procedures. However, my airline allows a couple of instances where taking off with ice or snow on the wings is okay. First off, take off with cold-soaked fuel frost on the wings on our Boeing 737 is allowed. They even have lines painted where the ice is allowed. I'm wondering if that's on the top part of the wing or not. On the Mad Dog, we can have up to 1/8 of an inch of frost on those areas where the cold-soaked fuel is, but that's only on the underside.
Yeah, same on the Airbuses that I flew, Jeff. But I'm just going to say ice is not the same as frost.
No, that's true.
So we have to be real careful of our terms here, Andre, so that we don't make any mistakes. Try and keep above the 50%.
Yeah. Okay, he who goes on. Additionally, our airline allows snow on the wings if the captain can determine that the snow is not adhering. I've never needed to use this provision, but I do know that many of our captains that fly up in the Arctic use this exemption a lot. What I have seen happen is that a cold-soaked aircraft will not allow dry snow to stick when observed during the initial pre-flight, but after at the gate a while, and with a new load of relatively warm fuel in the wings, the dry snow will begin to partially melt and stick to the wing. It's also possible that the conditions changed from dry adhering snow during the inspection at the gate to wet snow by the time they were ready for takeoff. That is my hypothesis on what happened to the aircraft. That is the subject of the article you spoke of and would perhaps explain the explanation given by the flight crew. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, it's interesting.
In our airline, and I'm not sure about next, but Acme, there is no such exemption for any kind of a contaminant.
No, it was an absolute no-no for my outfit. But I'm guessing if you're doing flights to the Antarctic, is that where he said they were?
I'm thinking the Arctic,
the Arctic, yeah.
very far northern North America.
Yeah, you're not going to get great supplies of de-icing fluid up there, are you? Not by the, hundreds of liters that they require to de-ice a reasonable size aircraft. So you're going to have to come up with some other trick. And if you are very cold with very cold snow and it just blows off the aircraft, then I guess that's probably a better solution than squirting thousands of liters of de-icing fluid around. But you'd have to know your snow very well and the conditions of your aircraft and what it's likely to do. It's not something for a beginner, I would say.
Yes, but for somebody who flies for a certain Seattle-based major U.S. airline that fly up in the state of Alaska quite a bit and Canada, yeah, I would imagine you're a little bit more familiar with it.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. And you've really got to know the risk. And as long as you analyze the risk and with your company, you've decided that certain conditions are acceptable and the manufacturer agrees with it. And that's the big problem we had on the 340s. We had patches where cold soaked fuel would cause frost to form on the wings, even on a nice day. We would say these are very regular patches over the fuel tanks where this frost occurs. Can we have dispensation if we mark out where they occur? And if you guys say it's safe, and Airbus looked at it and came back and said, no.
Nope.
Nope, can't do that.
Interesting.
So fair enough.
All right. Well,
Yeah, if there's snow or ice on the wings of any of the aircraft, or the vast majority of the aircraft that I might want to fly, I'm probably not going flying that day.
Yeah, it's not a good day to fly.
How about sky jumping? Parachute jumping. That would be much
cold.
nicer.
It's brutal when it's that cold.
Not a
I got out of an aircraft once when it was below freezing at 14,000 feet, like well below, like probably close to zero. I don't really have any, burning desire, no pun intended, to do that again. It's cold.
Your goggles freeze up?
No, but my hands sure did.
Oh, that could be a problem.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not if you're trying to fumble around for that shoot.
No, it's actually more when you're under canopy. Then you've got to, manage your toggles. And you're like, am I even holding this thing anymore? I can't tell what's going on with my.
Can't feel my toggles.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Show title.
Very nasty.
Let me write that down because if we don't,
Yeah, I can't feel my toggles.
Feel my toggles.
Great.
Inspired by Steph.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Just go to the
Or frozen toggles. That's another good one, Liz.
frozen toggles. Yes, frozen toggles.
Okay. Well, thank you, Captain Andre. I did not know that there were any kind of dispensations or exemptions allowed for any U.S. carrier. So that's interesting. Thank you for letting us know. And moving on with Robert in Marietta. He sent us a link to an article from the Marietta Daily Journal. And he said, Happy New Year, crew. Just passing along some local news and wondered if y'all had any connections. And so let's see, what is this all about? Lockheed Jetstar makes aviation history in Cobb. And let's see, a special moment in aviation history was made in Cobb County on Monday. Cobb County is one of the, I don't know how many of them are considered metropolitan counties anymore, but we have, that's one of the big ones in the Atlanta area. When a operational model of a unique Lockheed aircraft landed for the very last time. The pristinely maintained Jetstar 1329, built in Marietta in 1966, and once owned by the Saudi Arabia royal family, touched down at Cobb County International Airport, McCollum Field, just after 9 a.m. to applause from around 100 spectators. It is the last working Lockheed Jetstar, an aircraft considered to be the grandfather of today's corporate jets, as it was the first of this class when it first flew in the late 1950s, according to the Aviation History and Technology Center, a Marietta museum. A Florida family that's owned the aircraft for the last 30 years donated it to the museum, formerly known as the Aviation Wing. Pilot John Puffenbarger, who spent the last 21 years of flying the plane around the world for the family members who wished to remain anonymous, said they wanted it to return to Marietta, where it was built. We were able to preserve a piece of art, he said. The aircraft probably has more photos snapped of it than any other aircraft in the world. The plane, still featuring World War II technology, will become a star attraction at the museum, where visitors will be able to climb into the cockpit and try all the buttons and dials, or sit in one of 11 passenger seats, fitted with stowable wooden tray tables, ashtrays, and cup holders. There is already a Jetstar at the museum, but it's a little older. It's not operational, and it's not in as good of a condition as this one, said Mark Morgan, the museum director. Worth over $300,000, the Jetstar donated Monday was one of 202 built in Marietta. And Lockheed also built 2 prototypes of the aircraft in California. Many of Lockheed's California, why did I say it like that? California. Many of Lockheed's Jetstars went to large corporations, celebrities, and governments around the world, according to a news release from the Aviation Museum. Variants of the aircraft also served United States Air Force leaders, including presidential transport to President Lyndon B. Johnson. The donated plane will be dismantled and trucked to the Aviation Museum, where it will be reconstructed with the aim of it being open to the public within 6 months. I've not been to that museum. Have you, Dana?
I have not. I didn't even know there was.
We should do a meetup up there.
Yeah, that would be great.
Plans to have the aircraft land at Dobbins Air Reserve Base in Marietta, where it took off on its maiden flight 5 decades ago, fell through because the donation had to happen before December 31st, and Dobbins couldn't accommodate the landing within that time at such short notice. So they flew it into, it's all a tax-related thing, I guess. A good deduction for tax year 2019. Monday's Jetstar.
Because Dobbins is really a busy place.
Yeah.
They've got thousands of flights a day. I don't know why they couldn't.
No, it's
really.
You weren't in the military, so you don't understand.
Prior took Christmas off.
Prior permission required. You see that PPR thing?
Yes.
That's like, yeah. I completely understand.
Not gonna happen.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's not right, but it's the way things are. Did you drop your jaw? What happened there?
Yes, I'll pick that back up. It's actually my phone.
Your phone. Oh, hope you didn't crack the screen on it.
I hope the battery's okay.
Yeah, I've got an external battery case on that too.
Anyway,
that'll make a good fire.
Yes, extra fire.
So I'm not sure what Robert is kind of alluding to when he said that wondered if y'all had any connections.
Well, I guess it's an old airplane. You're old people.
Yeah.
Just that it's local to you guys, local-ish.
Oh, okay. Oh, Nick, you're such a peach.
Anything else I can help with?
No. Thank you. All right. I'll get you back somehow.
Of course you will.
Just watch it. Let's see. Item 3. Guess we're getting close to that point in the show. Let's keep going. This is from Liz, our producer. She said, long read, but interesting insights. Okay. Does that mean I really want to read the whole thing or not?
Yeah, you got 10 minutes.
Okay. French investigators, long and seated by Cairo, says pilots, thank you, Dana, technicians ignored flaws preceding fatal 2016 incident when an EgyptAir flight crashed on its way from Paris to Cairo in May of 2016. International law designated the Egyptian government to lead a probe to find out why the jet plunged suddenly into the Mediterranean Sea, killing all 66 people on board. I just got a message from our producer. Do not read the entire article, Jeff.
It's quite lengthy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got the direction. Thank you very much. The investigation was never completed. Instead, Egyptian authorities said a bomb had likely brought the plane down and withheld key evidence from French investigators, citing the secrecy of their counter-terrorism inquiry. But 3.5 years later, a French judicial probe has alleged that maintenance and safety lapses by EgyptAir left the plane unsafe to fly in the days before it crashed, according to confidential documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal.
Is this the Sharm el-Sheikh one where the guy came on with a laptop they thought and blew up? No, different one. Okay.
Out in the middle of the Med at night.
Oh, right. Okay. Carry on.
Yeah. And there was some allusion to perhaps a personal electronic device or something. There was some kind of a fire or something in the cockpit.
All right. Okay.
But I hadn't heard a lot about this in quite some time. Here we go. The very next sentence. A leak of oxygen in the cockpit preceded a fire that likely disabled the plane, according to an expert report circulated this month, contradicting Egypt's claim that a terrorist act brought down the aircraft. The plane registered serious mechanical errors on its final 5 flights, according to automated messages sent by the plane. EgyptAir pilots and the airline's tech center in Cairo largely ignored those errors, according to the documents. Investigators are also questioning whether the EgyptAir technician who inspected the plane in Paris was qualified to service aircraft in Europe. Before leaving Cairo for Paris on its penultimate flight, the plane should have been checked during its 4 previous flights, should not have left Cairo after the appearance of repeated faults that were not reported by successive teams, according to one of the documents. France opens a judicial investigation whenever one of its citizens is killed in a plane crash. The EgyptAir inquiry, which is continuing, hasn't established whether the crash was caused by the airline's alleged lapses that investigators identified.
That's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
More than 3 years ago. Are they sitting on this? Do you think?
I don't know.
Well, I wonder.
I don't know. Anyway, if you want to read more about this probe of the EgyptAir crash, it'll be in the show notes. Again, that's from the Wall Street Journal. And you can read about all the nitty-gritty details. Okay.
It certainly does seem strange, though, right? Just the whole how everything was looked into. Anyway,
I wonder what maybe they talk. I actually have to admit I have not read this yet from top to bottom, but I'm wondering if the faults that were reported were to do with the oxygen system.
Well, I think I found a key paragraph, Jeff, just speed reading through. It said, on the plane's last flight, its cockpit voice recorder registered what French investigators believe was a high-pressure oxygen leak shortly before the captain declared that a fire had broken out, according to the documents. French investigators said that 2 maintenance operations were performed on oxygen supply systems in the cockpit, one 3 days before the crash, but that they couldn't find documents that would provide more detail about these operations.
So it sounds like maybe there was some kind of a fault that should have been taken care of, but hadn't been properly accomplished.
Yeah, it might well be the case.
All right. Well, again, look for this in the show notes. Thank you, Liz. And I'm going to have to actually read the entire thing when I get a chance. Okay, this is from Pasadena, Brian.
Woo-hoo.
Yay, we haven't heard
Brian.
from you in a while. Yeah, we miss you. The photo is from my backyard. Happy new decade to all. Fly safely, Brian. And so there is a picture here that he included in his feedback on a beautiful Southern California day, blue sky, and remnants of chemtrails in the background. And
palm trees.
Yeah, palm trees, and an interesting looking airplane, the Flying Wing, the B-2. Let's see, United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Nicola Rogue Polidor makes history in Pasadena on New Year's Day as the first female pilot ever to fly the B-2 stealth bomber over the opening of the Rose Parade. The 8:03 a.m. B-2 flyover kicks off the parade and Pasadena's first day of a new decade. She told the Pasadena Now, she and her crew are honored to conduct these flyovers and will remember it for the rest of our lives. The B-2 flyover has become a 15-year annual highlight as the Rose Parade steps off. This year's 8 a.m. opening spectacular performance featuring Latin Grammy winner Ali Brooke of Fifth Harmony and Puerto Rican singer-songwriter Farruko, along with 19-time Grammy winner Emilio Estefan and the China Hills High School Drumline, will be followed by the flyover. Some good information there. The 509th Bomb Wing, based at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, announced that she would be piloting the B-2 with Major Justin Rocky Spencer. So anyway, very cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a tradition to always have a B-2 flyover at that event.
Except before they had the B-2.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the past 15 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Presumably they had a B1 before that.
Correct.
And
just the original
B2.
B, just the original B bomber.
B-17, B. Yeah.
You know, it was always a shame. Our hotel was right there in Pasadena, and we used to spend our layovers there. We had 48 hours to enjoy it. But whenever the Rose Bowl came around, the hotels filled up, so they shipped us down to Long Beach. So we never got a chance to do a trip there during the Rose Bowl parade or something. But one year I did manage to blag my way into one of the big warehouses where they build a lot of the floats, and was able to walk around, take pictures, chat to a lot of the volunteers, that the pedal pushers, I think they call themselves, who do this. They come from all over America for a couple of weeks, and they often do it year after year to come and build those things. I was just really gobsmacked by the amount of time and effort that went into building that amazing parade up.
Yeah, I've seen like documentaries or television spots on how they come up with all those flower petals on the floats. Very
I'll have to get out there for it one year, some year.
On your bucket list, right?
Yeah, good chance, good excuse
How
to
many
visit
buckets do you
Pasadena. A lot, and they're all empty.
Oh boy,
good excuse to visit Pasadena, Brian. Though. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Any excuse is a good excuse.
It is. It really is.
You know what we need to do? We need to head out to California for the what is it? The crazy, the cranky flyer,
the LAX meetup at the In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. We should do that. Should definitely be a meetup.
Just take that over.
Yeah.
Geez, I can get there easy.
We should maybe do that. We'll try to figure out when that is this year. Head out there.
Okay.
That'd be fun. Okay, we'll definitely see Brian there, right? Because he was there last
year. Yeah,
he
he better be there.
He did an interview of Munoz. Is he still the United CEO? Whoever the head of United is.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He's still head of United.
He did a good interview of him. He was there, actually. It was pretty cool. Okay. Guess what time it is?
Plain Tales.
Home time?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's well, if you want to go to bed, you're welcome to. But if not, and you want to listen to something great by the old pilot, it's this week's Plain Tale. Sounds like a drag. Here we go.
The old pilot's Plain Tales. Sounds like a drag. Musings are a worry. They lead to humming and whoring, beard scratching and brow furrowing. Whilst much contemplation, rumination and cogitation takes place. So it was when I recently glimpsed a photograph of the Convair 990A Coronado. Not a well-known airliner. It was the successor to the more successful, and that's not saying much, Convair 880. A little late to the game, Convair was building four-engined airliners to compete with the Boeing 707 and DC-8. Their design didn't win in many areas. It was smaller than its competitors and more expensive to operate. But at the time, Convair thought that it was going to be all about speed. They were going to build the fastest subsonic airliner in the world, and they would get their passengers coast to coast in more luxury and quicker than anyone else. They were going to corner the market. Just how were they going to achieve this? Well, first of all, they were going to employ turbofan engines that were going to increase the thrust. But interestingly, the fans would be at the back of the engine, sucking air through the bypass area rather than blowing it. And they were going to employ anti-shock bodies on the upper trailing edge of the wings. It was these large devices that had caught my attention when I first saw the photo. At first I thought they might be 4 additional engines, which would have made it an 8-engined airliner. Cool! But then I realized I couldn't see a jet pipe or intake, so wondered if they were piston engines or turboprops, and I just couldn't see the pusher propellers. Not quite so cool, and a bit like an airliner version of the Convair B-36 Peacemaker with 6 turning and 4 burning, or more commonly, 2 turning, 2 burning, 2 smoking, 2 choking, and 2 more unaccounted for. So not engines, but aerodynamic devices that also conveniently held fuel. And what's more, the same principle is still used today. The big pods on the 990A don't look anything like modern anti-shock devices, but they serve the same purpose. They reduced drag. Almost as big as the engine pods, these sleek-looking bubbles started from about 1/3 of the chord, beginning at a point and growing in girth while they stretched back well beyond the trailing edge until they shrank back into another point. The big question was, did they work? And if so, how? And the answer is firstly, yes, they did work. It is generally agreed that the Convair 990, particularly the 990A version, was the fastest of the subsonic airliners. In May 1961, the original 990 prototype set a record of Mach 0.97 in level flight at an altitude of 22,500 feet, equivalent to a true airspeed of 675 miles an hour, which for those of you who bimble around in an aircraft, that's 586.6 knots. The 990A, which had the 4 wing-mounted anti-shock body speed capsules and substantial streamlining of the engine pylon-wing interface, improved on that original speed, reaching 700 miles an hour, 608 knots. Convair's sales, publicity, and enthusiasm department were unbelievably enthusiastic about the new aircraft.
Let's go over to the flight line and talk to the experts about it. This is Kelly Owen, and Kelly is American's acceptance pilot at Convair. Kelly, how is the 990 business?
You can see for yourself, Larry. It's a fine airplane.
Well, I hear it's a good flying airplane, too.
That's true. We're very enthusiastic about it.
Are there any special features that you're particularly enthusiastic about, Kelly?
Larry, there are many, one of which, the speed stability system, we're very enthusiastic about.
So the next time one of you airline pilots comes home in a strong jet stream and sees 600 knots ground speed clock up, please don't stick it on Facebook. The Convair 990A could do it way before you were a twinkle in your parents' eyes and in still air. Sadly, the 990 and 990A didn't sell well and lost the company a shed-load of money. It appears that getting into LA 45 minutes earlier than your competitors wasn't worth the expense, and people really didn't care that much. But for me, that wasn't the point. The point was, what was in those wacky pods that allowed this airliner to crack along so close to the speed of sound? The answer was indeed the funny pods at the back of the wing, but to explain why, I'm going to have to put my FastJet QFI hat on and explain a bit about high-speed flight. Let me start by reminding you that sound comes to an ear near you via the medium of air, which is why, to quote the film Alien, in space, no one can hear you scream. When something makes a noise, it moves air in the form of a wave, which spreads out like the ripples on a pond. The ripples move quite fast, but the speed is dependent on the density and temperature of the air, amongst other things. At sea level, and at 21 degrees centigrade, that's 70 Fahrenheit, they reach 770 miles an hour, that's 669 knots. If the thing making that noise is an aircraft that can go quite fast, the sound waves it creates will only run ahead of the aircraft at the speed of sound minus the speed of the aircraft. As the speed of the aircraft increases towards the speed of sound, the distance between it and the sound waves in front gets smaller, and they start to bunch up. Continue to accelerate to the speed of sound, and eventually the sound waves merge together into what is termed a Mach wave. The Mach wave marks the limit of the influence of the aircraft, and all of the sound, all of the pressure waves from it have now formed into a single wave at right angles to the direction of travel. This is termed a normal Mach wave. That's normal as in at right angles. If the aircraft were to accelerate more, the normal Mach wave would change shape into a cone. But for today's tale, we don't need to go that fast. If someone's standing around minding their own business and they happen to be under your aircraft as it does this trick of creating a Mach wave, they would hear nothing of your approach until the moment you passed overhead, when all the collected sound generated by your machine would hit them in one go. Great for surprising your mates and putting up as a YouTube video. As an aside, in supersonic flight, there are, in fact, two waves created. One is the bow shock wave that, because of the local changes in air temperature caused by the passage of the aircraft, sits a little way ahead, and the other is the shock wave from the wings and fuselage, etc. This gives the distinctive double boom. We should perhaps consider the nature of a shock wave before we go about frightening suckers to put on YouTube. A shock wave is a very narrow region, about 1/10,000th of an inch, or 0.00254 of a millimeter, and it represents a high state of compression. Remembering that noise are just pressure waves and a shock wave is a bunch of those put together, it's not surprising that it sounds loud and startling, something similar to a thunderclap or explosion. The crack of a bullwhip is a miniature version, since the fast-moving tip of the whip exceeds the speed of sound, creating the noise. The strongest sonic boom ever recorded was 7,000 pascals. That's 144 pounds per square foot, and it didn't cause injury to the researchers who were exposed to it. The boom was produced by an F-4 Phantom flying just above the speed of sound at an altitude of 100 feet. That's about 30 meters. I digress. We need to get back to our Convair 990A, or more accurately, its anti-shock bodies. The big problem with a shock wave is the drag it produces, particularly in the transonic region. That's Mach 0.8 to Mach 1.2. When shock waves form, they produce drag. The enormous pressure change that occurs in a shock wave creates an extreme amount of drag that rises the closer the aircraft gets to Mach 1. It's not just the actual speed of the aircraft as a whole that we're concerned about, and without going into the whole how does an airplane fly thing, you need to know that curved surfaces on an aircraft will accelerate the air traveling over them. So whilst we might be flying along at only 80% of the speed of sound, Mach 0.8, part of the airframe, say the top of the canopy or the cockpit, the upper surface of the wings, tailplanes, rudder, etc., might well have air going over them that might be closer to Mach 1 and producing shock waves. The point at which these shock waves start to form is known as the critical Mach number, or just M-crit, and is defined as the lowest Mach number at which airflow over some point of the aircraft reaches the speed of sound. When I was still flying the A340, this was an easy thing to demonstrate. From an economical cruise speed of, say, around Mach 0.82, the flight management computer might show me that I'm landing with 10 tons of fuel. If I selected a higher speed, say Mach 0.84, the wave drag would increase and the engines would have to work harder. Now I could see that my landing fuel was going down to, say, 5 tons. Crank up the speed to Mach 0.86, and wave drag would be really getting hold and the fuel would drop into minus figures. That increase of speed by only 4% could result in a dramatic increase in drag and a corresponding climb in fuel consumption. Delaying the arrival of MCRIT, the start of Mach drag rise, became the holy grail of early jet airliner design, and there were several key features that manufacturers used to achieve their goal. The first has become so common that we tend to ignore it: wing sweep. On a swept wing, only the component of the airflow to pass over that is at right angles to the leading edge affects the wing. This means that the critical drag rise is a function of the cosine of the angle of sweep. In theory, therefore, it's quite possible for the airflow over the wing to have reached the speed for MCRIT, but the flow at right angles to the leading edge is still subsonic, delaying the drag rise. This is shown by the formula: Mach critical drag rise swept equals Mach critical drag rise straight over the cosine of the wing sweep. Of course, the wing need not be swept when it's possible to build a wing that's extremely thin. This solution was used on a number of designs, beginning with the Bell X-1, but this isn't a practical solution for an airliner. Having considered wing sweep and decided that it alone wouldn't do the job, the designers at Convair moved on to the Whitcomb area rule. The concept was first discovered by Otto Frenzy, who was working for Junkers in 1944 when he filed the patent. Several others came close to developing a similar theory, particularly Dietrich Kuschmann, who went on to work in the UK designing Concorde. The brilliant American designer Richard Whitcomb, after whom the rule is named, independently discovered the rule in 1952 whilst researching shockwaves at Langley. He concluded that, and I quote, "disturbances and shockwaves are simply a function of the longitudinal variation of the cross-sectional area. Put more simply, if you salami slice an aircraft from nose to tail and measure the area of each slice, it should increase and then decrease smoothly without any significant bumps on the way. Obviously, the wings can't be done away with, but the increase in area should be progressive and as much as possible reduced by, for example, narrowing the fuselage where the wings are fitted." When his ideas were applied to the prototype YF-102 Delta Dagger, for example, an aircraft that couldn't exceed the speed of sound in level flight suddenly could. The influence can be seen in many subsequent designs, such as the Thunder Chief, the Hustler, the F-4 Phantom, and the B-1B Lancer. Even though these are supersonic military aircraft, the principle of area rule applies equally to airliners traveling at transonic speeds. In the case of the Convair 990A, an examination of the cross-sectional areas revealed that there was a sharp reduction in the cross-sectional area around the trailing edge of the wing, which was causing significant wave drag. This was smoothed out by the addition of the anti-shock bodies, which also provided a convenient place to store extra fuel. But where are the shock bodies on modern airliners, you might ask? Has the rule changed? Not at all, but modern designers have found more elegant ways to smooth out their cross-sectional areas and obey area rule and achieve something close to the Sears hack body, the shape which allows a minimum wave drag for a given length and volume. Next time you're doing a bit of plane spotting, take a look at the large flap tracks on many airliners. These large fairings are found on the trailing edges of the wing and house the mechanism for deploying the flaps. They could be designed much smaller, but are deliberately created large and long to improve area rule. And the Airbus A340 is a classic example, but this trick is also used on such aircraft as the A310, the Boeing 747, and the Airbus A380, to name just a few. Whitcomb also found that a large bulge above the forward fuselage also improved transonic aerodynamics, a feature that the 747 also employs, not just for area rule, but also to allow the captain to sit on his wallet. Another example were the Cushman carrots, pods that extend behind the trailing edge of the Handley Page Victor, one of Britain's V bombers. And if we look across the old Iron Curtain, we can see that Soviet designs took advantage of area rule as well. The Tupolev Tu-95 Bear has very large pods extending behind the inboard engines well beyond the wing trailing edge. These house the main undercarriage but also serve as area rule pods. The Tu-16 Badger does the same. Sadly, for the Convair 990, a bit of exotic area rule didn't fix all the problems, even though they called them speed pods and made them a publicity feature.
They always seem to be surrounded by pods.
These pods, Larry, stamped this the Convair 990 airplane. No other airplane can make this claim.
Well, what is the main job of the speed pods?
Well, the important function, of course, is to make the airplane go faster. And it's a real exciting and effective application of the same area rule used on fighter airplanes.
And it cut down drag or have an effect like that?
Yes, you see, even on an airplane such as...
It had been American Airlines who wanted the aircraft, but although they could have boasted of having the fastest airliner in the West, they told Convair that the aircraft didn't meet the promised specifications. When the line shut down, they had produced only 37 990s, and it led Convair's parent company, General Dynamics, to suffer what was at the time one of the largest corporate losses in history.
Just kidding. I don't
Funny
think that
noise.
I did not deserve, or that did not deserve that was really interesting.
I mean, it did in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. It's actually an homage to technical stuff on the APG that we don't really do that often, and that was really good stuff.
Yeah. I'd hate to take over Miami Rick's throne, but yeah, sometimes I find I find an interesting thing like that, and I wonder how interesting other people will find it. Well, I hope they find it reasonably interesting.
Yeah, I did.
Definitely.
Yeah, I if you're watching the video, which by the way, I need to take the picture off of the screen right now, but during the plane tail, I was able to find some photos of the Convair 990 with those very strange looking speed pods on it, and I didn't know that that's what their purpose was. And the Bear bomber, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those same kind of strange looking pods extending from the trailing edge of the engine pods.
That's right. And when next time you look at an airplane with reasonable need for area rule, then take a look at the flap tracks and the devices on the back of the wing, and you will go, well, actually, yeah, they probably don't need to be nearly that big or stick back that far for just flap tracks, which can be quite small. So the answer is that there's a lot of empty space in there because they're just trying to increase the cross-sectional area of that portion of the aircraft to smooth out the overall effect and reduce those Mach waves.
I think that was good stuff. Really good stuff. So
good.
More of that, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So how did you know all about all that stuff?
Oh, well,
he's a consummate aviation professional.
I learned it in the Air Force. That's
Really?
what the Air Force was for, yes.
You must have been quite an advanced instructor in your time.
I had my moments.
Okay. He's such a modest person. Let's continue with the feedback. Item 5, Ralph sent in this link to an article. He says, Churchill Airport plan to rename Heathrow never moved ahead. And this is from ABC News. Newly public documents reveal that former British Prime Minister John Major was interested in renaming Heathrow Airport after wartime leader Winston Churchill, but never moved forward on the idea. Documents released Tuesday show that Major considered the idea in 1996 after receiving a letter urging him to drop the stupid name of Heathrow from the UK's busiest airport. New York has Kennedy Airport, Paris has de Gaulle, and we have the stupid name of Heathrow, wrote businessman Harvey Spack to the Prime Minister. It should be renamed with the name of the greatest man of the century who has no truly great memorial in our country. I can only see this as a tremendous boost to the feel-good factor for all of us. The letter indicated that Spack knew Major and felt comfortable addressing him as Dear John. Major
Oh, a
wrote
Dear John letter.
Yeah, it was a Dear John letter. Major wrote back expressing interest. Thank you for your intriguing idea about renaming Heathrow Airport after Sir Winston Churchill. I'm looking into this, and I'm grateful to you for raising it. But Major never proposed the change. The sprawling airport was named Heathrow after the small village of that name that was removed to make way for it. While Churchill never received the honor, slain Beatle John Lennon did get similar recognition from his home city when the Liverpool airport was renamed Liverpool John Lennon Airport in 2001. It was the first British airport named for an individual. Now, come over here, and in just about every airport you go to.
Yeah, even if it's not well known, it's probably still named after someone.
Right.
Yeah, it's not considered a terribly big honor, is it?
I guess it depends on. I don't know.
I'm sure there's
Maybe.
something better we could do for one of our greatest country's leaders. But the other trouble is, of course, that it's politically linked. So
That's the part of it I hate, the
Yeah.
politics of it. And that's why I refuse to play that game.
But having said that, Churchill led a coalition government during the war, so all parties were represented.
There you go.
There you go.
Very bipartisan.
Yep.
Type of
I
guy.
guess it had to be.
Yeah.
Do you think
multi-partisan, bipartisan? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you think there's enough airport names for Atlanta yet?
Oh, no. We need more.
Yeah, I think they're going to come up with more.
That's why I call it the Atlanta International Airport.
That's why I say, welcome to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Not the
What are you supposed to say?
Maynard Jackson,
William B. Hartsfield,
Hartsfield
Maynard Jackson
International Airport.
I love it. I like the way we named one of our airports after a thief and a robber.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For a while.
Robin Hood?
Robin Hood.
The Nottingham Airport?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
My personal favorite is crap.
We've always thought that.
Which is Rapid City. Which is Rapid City.
KRAP. Yeah, we can play that game.
Yeah.
We have LIT, put the K in front of it.
Yeah, we're not going there. I was being nice.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte.
You can go to Coma.
Coma. We got Cattle.
Cattle.
Airport.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Although Charlotte is Douglas
Cakelet.
International Airport, named after a former mayor of Charlotte, I think.
Oh, what is it actually?
Charlotte Douglas.
Oh, Douglas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know Douglas's first name.
Very close to the McDonald Douglas.
Bob.
Yes.
I thought Douglas is a first
I
name.
think it was Ben. It is, but in this case, it's
Or Douglas.
the last name.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, let's go. 6. Ham Radio Jim. Ham Radio Jim here with just a short blurb for mainly Captain Nick. During episode 405, you had a very nice discussion regarding Leo Laporte, the Twit guy, the This Week in Technology podcast network. I, too, have been enjoying his broadcasts for years. Thought you'd like to know that he is also an amateur radio operator, call sign Whiskey 6 Tango Whiskey Tango, and sometimes offers pieces on the subject. That is all. Happy New Year from Ham Radio Jim, 7-3, Whiskey 2, November Sierra Foxtrot.
73, Jim. Thanks for that. I shall listen out for him.
Yeah, he's not he is technically a ham radio guy. I don't know if he does that much of it, but I don't know. Lately.
Well, I wouldn't have thought he has a lot of time, considering the amount of time he's in front of a microphone during day job. He probably doesn't want to spend his evenings doing it as well.
But he did he got Bob Heil, the guy that makes these Heil PR.
Oh, yeah.
He was a huge ham radio guy. And he has actually, what was it called? Ham Nation or something like that on the Twit network. He has a separate podcast.
Oh,
that he hosts. Yeah. I don't recall the exact name, but anyway, a lot of good shows over there on the Twit network. And Leo is one of my idols. All right. Thank you, Jim. Micah 7. Let's see. This is an article from space.com. Space Wars. An unidentified astronaut aboard the International Space Station had a deep vein thrombosis, a DVT, or blood clot in the jugular vein of their neck, according to a new case study. The astronaut's identity and exactly when the incident took place are being kept secret for privacy reasons, so identifying information was omitted from the case study. The astronaut was 2 months into a 6-month stay at the International Space Station, ISS, when the DVT was discovered. This was the first time a blood clot was discovered in an astronaut in space, and NASA had no established method for treating this condition in a zero-gravity environment. So, Steph, what can you tell us about blood? These DVTs are pretty dangerous things, aren't they?
They can be, certainly. You certainly don't want it to travel to the lungs and cause a clot there, because that can be quite quickly fatal, actually. This one was discovered in the jugular vein, so in the neck, and what they were doing was a research study using ultrasound. So they were basically taking ultrasound pictures of each other, I suppose, to do a study on how body fluids are redistributed in zero gravity, and they just happened to find this deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah. By chance?
By chance, completely by chance. They basically said if they weren't doing this study, they don't know what the outcome would have been. Fortunately, they do have a supply of limited supply of a lot of different types of medications on the International Space Station. One of which was, I forget what they did first, enoxaparin. Not Coumadin, not warfarin. Surprisingly, not warfarin, which is rat poison. Enoxaparin, which is Lovenox, which is a blood thinner, and it's given by injection. So you actually have to give yourself a subcutaneous injection of this medication, generally every 12 hours. So they did that for 40 days. And then on the 43rd day, I'm not sure what happened in those 3 days in between, they resupplied the International Space Station with apixaban, which is also known as Eliquis, at least here in the United States. And that's an oral blood thinner, which does not require the same type of regular monitoring like Coumadin warfarin does with blood draws. So interesting.
Yeah. So I guess this person got through it just fine.
Yeah, as far as we know, no other ill effects from it. And,
would gravity have an effect on a blood clot's behavior in the bloodstream, do you think, Steph?
I can imagine all kinds of interesting things. So if you, the reason why we worry about them so much in people's legs, generally, you get DVT clots in the lower extremities, has to do with stasis and being on your feet or having your feet in a dependent, or your legs in a dependent position there. But this one was in the jugular, which is not a common place generally to get a clot like that, at least as far as I'm concerned about. I'll probably get all kinds of feedback from vascular surgeons and specialists. But
isn't the jugular quite a big?
It is, and a lot of these deep veins can be quite large. So, and that's why you can get very large clots that can then block off the blood supply in the pulmonary veins.
And it's actually a blood clot in the jugular that actually caused my buddy and my fraternity brother's stroke.
Oh, wow.
I talked about several episodes ago.
Oh, really? Wow.
It was, he had a malformation in the way the jugular ran up. It kind of took a 90-degree bend and another 90-degree bend. And all it took was a very small clot to get in there. And it did. And that's what caused his stroke.
So would a blood clot cause impaired ability to think?
It depends on how blood flow is being affected. So you're talking about venous return here, not...
No, I'm thinking about my issues.
About your issues?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I think those go a lot deeper than just...
Okay. It's more than just...
That's some other points.
Thanks.
Mind you, I gather alcohol is a good substitute if you can't get blood thinner.
Blood thinner, yes.
Yeah.
Don't look at the liver, though.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So,
non-medical advice. Drink
more. Mike has already gotten there in YouTube, but where I was going with all that, you were asking about zero gravity effects. So if you don't have gravity causing clots to form in places where they normally would form when you're subjected to gravity, I guess they could. I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't form in other places, even with the effects of gravity, but maybe more likely to form in places you wouldn't expect when you're in those conditions. So I don't know. I don't know what type of. I'm sure. I don't know that they were doing any type of surveillance for these types of conditions prior to this. Maybe they do. I'm not sure.
Very interesting. Thanks, Micah, for sending that in.
Mhm.
He's also in our chat room and always a great participant in the community.
Let him in again.
Yeah,
sorry?
somebody.
Yeah.
You let him in
The person
again.
that let Micah in, would you please contact us after the show?
I'll call you right now.
We got a phone number for you to. You ready to copy a phone number?
Yeah, you ready to copy? All right. Item 8. This was via our Facebook page, Airline Pilot Guy. Gerald Ludwig says the acronym CAVU, as I learned it decades ago, means Ceiling and Visibility Unlimited. However, now I hear it explained as Clear and Visibility Unlimited. I think it's ceiling, though, but I don't know. I'm on episode 141, savoring every moment. Don't try to get me to jump to the current episodes. Well, how did he know we were talking about CAVU? Maybe we were talking about it back then.
You probably talked about it.
Oh, interesting.
You have to go back and see what's on.
Any higher at the 50% accuracy level than I am. No, probably not. Yeah, 141 was before we started doing
It
co-hosts.
was after
Yes.
Dana, though.
It was after me.
Yeah,
But-
well, that
You
one was
don't
always
count.
kind of like a one-off. It was. I tried.
Yeah,
to
that was a one-off. I was nobody important.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, it was like I never intended to do it as a regular thing. It was just like a one-off. Hey, you'd be great to be on. It'd be great to have you on the show today, because I'd never heard of anybody with the journey that you had to get to the airlines, and I thought that the audience would really be interested in that, and they were.
Well, look what happened now.
Yeah.
Now you get one of the best shows on the planet.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I would. To get our accuracy up to above 50% per Wikipedia, CAVU, Ceiling and Visibility Unlimited, an aviation meteorological term.
That's what I thought it was. Yes, ceiling. Okay, but clear works too. Clear and visibility unlimited. All right, let's go with this one. Landon out in Northern California. Hey, Landon, sent us some audio feedback. He has a question about the 737 MAX.
Okay, so this is Landon from San Jose, California, the left coast. Hello, APGers. Hello, Captain Jeff, Dr. Steph, Captain Nick, Captain Dana, and see, who else am I missing? Oh, yeah, Miami Rick, wherever you are, man. Stay up. Hey, so want to give a special thanks to Captain Jeff, because I know that I forgot all about him, allegedly. Forgot all about him in my last feedback that
Allegedly.
I wrote, I don't know, a few episodes ago, something or other. So wanted to say, hey, thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for actually creating the Airline Pilot Guy show. We wouldn't have this community without you. You need a special tribute to you, sir. All right. With that being said, I have another question. It might be it could be for the whole crew. More particularly, probably with good-looking Jeff, since he flies the 737 MAX. Oh my God, yes, it's another 737 MAX. Question/problem rant. The MCAS. Does the airplane need the MCAS? Why are we delaying putting this aircraft back into service? I don't understand it. The airplane the 737, has gone through extensions in its fuselage and changes in placement of its wings from the 737-100. Not changing wings. Changing where the engines are mounted on the wings, where you had the cigar engines, old JTH that went from the front of the wing all the way to the back of the wing. And then you had the 737-300, 400, 500, where the engines were pushed out in front of the wings, and then smashed down so it's nice and flat. So since the airplane sits so low to the ground, why was no MCAS needed there? Why can't the airplane be flown by a well-trained pilot that knows how to use trim? Why do you have to have a separate system to help control the airplane? I say get rid of it. All right, I'm running out of time. Thank you, Blue Skies, Tailwinds, and hope everybody has a Kavu day. All right, bye.
Well, the not so good looking Jeff can say something until we hear from the good looking Captain Jeff. But the exact issue that you were mentioning, the fact that they changed the geometry of the way the engines were mounted on the wing, and the fact that they were much more powerful engines that they've ever put on a 737, created a situation where if you weren't a competent pilot and didn't understand the changes in the flight geometry of the airplane, you could get yourself in trouble. But I think that if they had released it as a new version and had required people go through specific training and to understand the new aerodynamics and the new performance characteristics and everything else, they probably wouldn't have needed the MCAS. But because they tried to sell this thing as something that the airlines would not have to spend any more money and time retraining pilots to fly, they decided, well, we'll just put a little gadget in there that will take care of it, and we don't have to say anything about it. And I think that was their mistake. Of course, in hindsight, I'm sure they're thinking we should have just made this just a different variant requiring some extra training for people to fly it so that they understand the characteristics. And that's my opinion, by the way. What do you all think?
Money.
Yeah,
it's all about saving money, and that's it. I mean, when it comes down to it, the training, because the aircraft would fly just like every other variant, and they can make small adjustments, Landon, as far as CG goes. But they did move these engines significantly forward and up off the fuselage, so there is some aerodynamic issues there as well. But it's it comes down to that there's a common type rating. They want to keep it the same type rating, and companies are not interested in spending more money unless they have to.
And it was very critical because they were head-to-head competing with the Airbus 300 series or 320 series, who are operating the new Neo. And so to come up with the same kind of performance enhancements that the Neo had, and the Airbus did not require any extra special training for that because it didn't change the performance characteristics significantly enough to require that. And so I think that, they didn't want to, they wanted to sell it as, so it does sort of come down to money, but they wanted to sell it as something that would be easy, as easy as the Neo, the A320 Neo, to put in their fleets with no extra training required. As so that's what they did. Didn't say that very well, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
No, I'm not an expert on this, but I did read, and that it had a lot to do with the stall characteristics with RCG and power on, in that the aircraft is supposed to behave in a certain manner as it approaches a stall. And one thing it's not allowed to do is to continue to pitch up into a stall. And I understand MCAS was introduced to oppose the natural tendency the aircraft had in this new design to do that. So it was supposed to oppose that. And as such, then it would be allowed to be recertified without any problems. So that's my understanding of the basic reason that MCAS was brought in.
But couldn't a pilot do the same thing that MCAS does by just pushing the fast trim?
Well, I think it is an aircraft that pitches up into a stall is naturally goes against what you would like to do. You want an aircraft to pitch down as it approaches the stall, and I think it's a generally accepted requirement for the passing an aircraft's registration for it to be certified as safe to operate. That it obeys that natural sort of aerodynamic principle. So I don't know if I'm pretty certain that's the case, but I'm sure Captain Jeff, the nice looking one, will reassure us on that.
We're coming up to our new contract negotiations for the co-host, so just watch it. All right.
You're nicer looking. He's just nice looking. That's what I meant.
Thank you. Okay, now.
Well, see, and I mentioned money, so I think we need to.
Yeah.
HR will be in touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to my bonus.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I bet you are.
It's a
Okay.
percentage of your current pay.
It's a 100% bonus of the current pay.
Let's
There you
say
go.
we do this last one that Liz added to the current show, and you may or may not have in your Google show notes, but this
I had
is
to pull it up in my email because it wouldn't link.
yeah from,
I got
from
it.
Mikey, and he says, "Hi, excellent show as always. It makes the slog on the motorway much more enjoyable. Feedback for episode 406, which was our last episode. Like a lot of the letter designators in METARs, the origin of FU lies in
Pardon?
FU lies in the
You
French
too.
fumée for smoke, or BR for mist, being from the French brouillard. Brouillard. I should let Steph read the rest of this stuff.
Oh, other examples are GR from. I don't know that I can pronounce these any better than you can actually. From Grella for hail, or BC from Bonk for patches. And in terms of so P2000N, P2000N, that is the RVR value. So P indicates the RVR is higher than the maximum value that can be measured, 2,000 meters in this case. The last letter is the trend. N is no change. U would be increasing and D decreasing. In separate matters discussed in 406, in the Atlas incident, the force of the captain pulling back and the first officer pushing forward broke the shear rivets at the PCU. This means that the yokes were no longer linked and would have created an elevator split. While not directly answering the question in regards to communication, while task saturated, the captain may not have been aware that 50% of the elevator was still pointing very much nose down. Thanks, Mikey.
Yeah, that would aggravate the situation, wouldn't it? Not good.
Wow.
After I thought about it, after our discussion on the last episode regarding FU as smoke, I thought, duh, Mondavi winery, instead of calling their Sauvignon Blanc, they call it Fumé Blanc. And that means, for those of you familiar with that wine, it has a smoky kind of flavor to it. It's a very nice wine, and I know they're not the only ones that call their Sauvignon Blanc Fumé Blanc, but now it all makes sense. And I thought that P2000N, P2000D had something to do with visibility. I just couldn't work it out, but I guess the P must stand for plus, and then the RVR, and then whether it's decreasing, increasing.
P indicates that you can't get a reading above that. So that's the maximum reading.
The highest.
Oh, okay. Well, I just always see when I see P and somewhere, I always think, plus.
Yeah, that's why, the only reason we do it this way is because of the limitations on the sort of transmissions that machines could produce like 3,000 years ago. So this is a really ancient form of abbreviation, and personally, I would like to see it simplified.
Is that a slight exaggeration? 3,000 years ago,
possibly. Well, it was the ancient Greeks, or was it the?
It was back when Nick learned to fly.
Hieroglyphs. That's where they got it from. The Egyptian hieroglyphs. Pretty sure.
Yeah, that's my flight manuals were in hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics
or something. Yes, whatever that word is. I've always had trouble.
Hieroglyphs.
Huh?
Somebody's snorting.
Nice one.
All right. Oh, stop the snorting. All right.
Is that the other name for our show?
Yes.
All right. I think that's well past time for us to stop the show. So thank you everybody for joining us today on this episode, especially those of you who are there with us live in the live chat room. And let's see, if you want to learn more, and I'm not sure why you'd want to, but we do have a nice website. Arash is our website guru, manages and created that, and we have a lot of good stuff on there. I'm not going to go through all this stuff. You just have to check it out yourself. And we're also on the social medias.
We are on the social medias. You can head over to twitter.com and find us using the handle at APG Crew. You can also head over to facebook.com/airline pilot guy. And we look forward to seeing you on the social medias.
Yes. And we also have a social media called Slack. And I wasn't ready for this.
Well, so long as halal is, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
well,
I thought
no-
you had more to talk about too. I was like, oh yeah, social media. I should talk about that. Multitasking.
While I was talking about that, I was thinking I need to set up the Hillel stuff.
Something, yeah.
I haven't done that
Have
yet.
you locked halal in the toilet again?
Yeah, well, Hillel is he's in not with me here today, but he's somewhere in a hotel room in Albany, New York. And let's see if we can get. Oh, there he is again, Hillel. You need to stop the shower thing when we're doing the show. Okay.
I need a towel. I got shampoo in my eyes.
Okay. Well, come on over here and tell us about Slack. Oh no. No. Tell us about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks, Hillel. Now you can go back to whatever the heck you were doing over
I
there.
wouldn't go in there for a while, Captain.
Okay, thanks for the warning. And until next time. Oh, before we do that, let's a big round of applause for our producer in Toronto.
Oh, thank you,
Yes,
Liz.
Hey, Liz.
Great job.
And until next time, wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Talons, Douglas.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, buddy.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. it's
Yeah,
just-
definitely.
For heaven's sake, hide your lotion from Hillel. I'll do. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
There's
exactly right.
one that he says something about lotion, doesn't he? Yeah, here we go.
Sorry, Jeff. I might have used all your skin lotion.
So wrong. So wrong. Family show. Family show.
Well, I mean, that's to moisturize your skin, right?
Yes, of course it is.
Yeah.
What else? Never mind.
What else?
What else
Yeah.
would you do with it?
All right. I think it was a good show.
Yeah,
It was a
good
great
show.
show.
Right for me.
All right. Well, everybody, we are going to bid you adieu in the chat room. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we look forward to seeing you, maybe some of you in the chat room.
In the
very
chat
soon, in
room.
person.
That's French for cat.
Really, in the cat room.
What?
Sound right? Like chat noir, right? A black cat?
Isn't CHAT in French? Isn't that cat?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Chat.
Yeah, CHAT.
Yeah, chat.
So you're gonna have a
Chat
chat?
You gonna have a cat? This is the
Oh,
cat.
No, I'm not gonna have a cat.
Welcome to the cat podcast. Let's see. Oh,
No.
it's not loud enough.
Can't hear.
I know.
Honey.
Hold on.
Make your cat squeal.
Say it again. Chat.
Yeah,
Chat.
chat.
You barely say that T at the end though. Chat.
Oh, chat.
Uh-huh.
It's time for us to end the show. All right.
Chat.
Yeah. Just never mind. All right. I should probably hit the button that says end broadcast. What do you think?
I think it's time for us
I
to go.
think so.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye, buddy.
Night.
Bye.